Halo Infinite gameplay raises both intrigue and concern. Ghost of Tsushima is record-breaking, and G4 TV is seemingly returning. Ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 241 of the It's Obvious podcast. My name is Garrett Drake. I'm joined alongside, once again, by Jacob Alka.
Hello, how are you doing, Garrett?
I'm doing quite well, and we're joined online via Old Faithful, Zoom itself, John Poobah, Preston Pugh.
Top of the morning to you.
Preston, it's great to be joined by you. Jacob, it's great to be joined by you as well.
Garrett, why didn't you say my gamer tag name? You said his, but not mine.
Well, see, that's the thing, Jacob, is because Lost in the Echo is, I know it's pretty cool, it's a Linkin Park reference, but had you been Richard Drangle, or had you been, you were formerly Richard Drangle, right?
Yeah.
Had you remained Richard Drangle, and especially if you were Jacob Angus Stanky Rangus, that would be worthy of calling out.
Oh.
But I think Lost in the Echo...
So you just don't think my name's worthy enough?
No, not quite. So John Poobah is pretty legendary, and it's a name to celebrate because it lives on. Preston, we'd love an update on how your PlayStation account activation played out. I know you kind of shared it on Discord, but for the listeners beyond our Discord channel, we'd love to hear how that played out for you.
Yeah, I might have overreacted just a tad on Discord, but I think I had good reason to, because just to do like a little bit of an update, if you listened to the podcast last week, some trying to think of something I could call this gentleman or woman that hacked my account, but I'm just gonna not call them a name. This person hacked my account and bought the Insane Trilogy, Nitro Kart, and some soccer game. And
decent taste, at least.
Yeah, I know. But anyways, I got a text saying that like my card had been tampered with, and it literally just asked me like, "Did you buy this?" And I said no. And then they were like, "All right, cool, we'll take it from here." So they charged back. They like forcibly took the money back from Sony, which is against Sony's terms of service. You're supposed to go to Sony and tell them what happened, and then they're supposed to refund it to you. The thing is, though, is that when it's 1 a.m. and I'm out of town, the last thing on my mind is I got to make sure I wake up in the morning and like wait on like hold for an hour to talk to a Sony representative why some goon has my credit card, you know?
Yeah.
So that's like the last thing I was thinking of. So I let the credit card, company take care of business. But like I said, that was against their terms of service. So they suspended my account, which this is where the confusion started and where my overreaction started, is because my PlayStation tells me that I'm permanently banned. Like it gives me the error code of like a bunch of numbers and it ends with a 7, which I believe if it ends with a 2, it means your account is temporarily suspended. But if it ends with a 7, it means like it's perma-banned. So I, seeing the 7, thought my account was permanently banned, which upset me quite a bit because, I lose access to my account that has all the trophies that I've worked for, et cetera, et cetera. And it, made me even madder because it would completely have locked me out of anything I've ever bought, including Ghost of Tsushima, which I, bought digitally last week as well, which I was, planning on playing that this weekend. And, it looked like I wasn't going to be able to. But thankfully, the next day, they unbanned my account. So I have access to everything now. So for about 24 hours, it was, very frustrating, and I was on the edge of my seat. The anticipation for that email was killing me. But thankfully, John Poobah's back and everything's good now. So I guess the moral of the story is I'm not putting a credit card on my account again. I will just buy cards or whatever from Amazon or the store and input those. And
Are you gonna go that far?
Yeah, I just don't want to take a chance anymore. Since it's happened to me, like it's too easy to just buy a code from Amazon and input it, to where I'd rather just do that and, rather safe than sorry. But I also put in 2-step authentication, which they've, I guess, recently added, because the last time I went through my Sony account stuff, that wasn't available. And I recommend to you gentlemen as well to enable the 2-factor authenticator thing as well, so this doesn't happen to y'all.
Yeah, I have that set up on Switch. I don't think I ever have set it up on PlayStation. That's something I already meant to do, but I keep forgetting to do it.
Yeah.
I've just been so
stupid that it took
enraptured
them
by Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, like it took them long enough to do two-step, because when I was looking up the band stuff on Reddit, it was like I think a year or two ago, people were complaining about like, man, this wouldn't have even happened if they had two-step or whatever. So, but yeah, definitely recommend anybody that has not done that yet to do so as soon as possible. But
yeah, thank you for sharing your harrowing experience. I'm glad it has a positive ending, and it's cause to celebrate. I'm very glad that your account that you started on day one of PlayStation 4 lives on to the PlayStation 5 era. So that's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Aside from that wild experience you had, how was the rest of your week?
It was fine. Just getting back to work after vacation always sucks.
Yeah.
Very tired this week. Just always exhausted, dude. Especially like working out this week. Holy crap, it sucked so bad. I had to like literally punch myself in the face every day to like be motivated at all. It was just grueling this week for some reason. So
I get that feeling. Times when I struggle to exercise, it's always an energy thing. Like if I don't, it's more so not only just the physical energy, but like something mentally and sometimes emotionally that's really motivating me to give it all I've got.
Yeah.
Like if I'm lacking that, I find it 10 times more difficult to get a good exercise in.
I've never like physically too drained to do a workout, but I often find myself like just mentally not wanting to do it.
Yeah.
I'll be like, I just
think it
don't
was,
have the interest.
I think it was extra hard for me this week because Tuesday and Wednesday I was working on a gentleman's lake house, and it was so freaking hot, and I like was kind of working in an unair conditioned area all day that it's just like when I got home I was just dead.
Yeah.
But I still it was just the first 10 minutes of getting myself motivated is definitely the hardest part, but once you kind of get into the swing of it, you start to feel better. So
yeah,
so it's just kind of the getting started thing for me, but yeah, hopefully next week will be a little bit better in terms of that stuff. So
Preston, I was in your neck of the woods on Thursday. I actually picked up our eastern route. So I was going through Lawrenceville, Grayson, even like Winder, Athens. Like I went all over the place over there. And I think like I was on roads, and I think that I was close to your old house, I think.
Okay. My old house was just by Grayson High School. So if you were...
Okay. Do you remember what the neighborhood was called?
Wildwood?
Okay, never mind.
Okay.
I drove past this place called the Arbors, and for some reason, like it reminded me of the neighborhood that your old house was in.
I know where that is. It's
Arbors.
Close.
Yeah, and then I thought of our Arbors in Duluth. So
you were close.
But you know where I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah. But yeah, I was over there a good bit on Thursday, so I was just thinking about you.
Cool, man. Glad to hear it.
Nice. Jacob, how was your week?
It was good. Nothing too incredibly exciting, but I did go out to somewhere very nice to eat yesterday, a place called...
Is it Southern Gentleman?
Southern Gentleman, yes.
Nice.
Went there with Clara. I had this delicious steak, and it was very good. Medium rare, of course.
Had some daggone trout, right?
I'm a medium rare man, and my gal had a trout, and we had a nice, lovely dinner, had a nice discussion. And I almost forgot, I had a very nice smoked old-fashioned. I had two of them, and they were very delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Almost as good as the steak. Almost. I thought about just pouring it on the steak. And,
yeah, I was going to suggest the same.
Yeah. But I held myself back from embarrassing myself amongst the others. Yeah.
Takes a lot of restraint.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you had that feast. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was very good.
Was that the highlight of your week?
Pretty much, yeah.
Was that last night?
Yeah, it was last night.
Man, to think that you had that amazing meal and then you show up to my door with sprinkled chocolate Krispy Kreme donuts.
Yeah, we got those at Publix.
Wow.
We obviously didn't eat them all.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
We got to hear that. How was your work week?
It's very just average. I'm starting to do like other routes. So like I'm not just doing one every week. I'm starting to jump around and I don't know, just do a few more, and I don't know. I'm kind of job searching too at the same time.
Yeah, you and me both.
So
you and many of us in the world right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it ain't going so well.
Yeah.
So
there's not a lot of options right now.
Yeah.
But we're gonna persevere, and while we do so, we're gonna keep playing games.
Yes, we will. Yeah, at least we have that for the time being.
But what about you, Garrett? How was your week?
I had a few interesting experiences. So my week began. I went successfully roughly 27 years without ever having a cavity. But I finally had a cavity for the first time in my life, and I went to get it filled. And see, I misunderstood. See, I've never had a cavity, so I didn't understand the terminology of. They didn't even call it a cavity until I realized what was happening when I had to go get it filled. So when I had my dental checkup a few weeks ago, they're like, "Oh, we need to do a filling on one of your teeth." And I've had sealants done on my teeth when I was much younger, but I didn't realize there's a difference between a sealant and a filling. Mm-hmm. They're literally saying we need to fill a cavity, but they didn't use the word cavity, so I was confused.
Yeah, they literally like drill out the dead part of your tooth and then they fill it with something. Yeah.
So I go into the dentist and they're like, "All right, we're gonna have to numb you." And I was like, "Oh, interesting." I was like, "I've never had that for a sealant," but I'm not like afraid of the needles or anything. So they stick like this goop in my tooth first to numb my gum, and then this doctor comes in with this big ass needle. It's like 6 inches long. I'm like, dear Lord. I was like, so I'm not afraid of the needles. I'm like, this is all just taking me by surprise. And I'm like so confused as to what's happening. So he sticks that thing. You guys have probably had this done like deep and I swear all the way into my face, this 6-inch needle. And not only does he do that, but it's that weird sensation because my gum is numb, but I can feel it moving in my face. He is just going to town. And I'm feeling it moving like all in my jaw and everything. And he takes it out. And the first thing I say is, I'm like, that was gnarly. He's like, I'm going to be honest with you, man. When I was in dental school, someone had to like volunteer to have that done as an example. And he's like, it freaked me out every time someone volunteered to have that done. I was like, goodness gracious. So then
thanks for not telling me that beforehand, sir.
I sit there for 15 minutes and half my face goes numb. And finally they come and do the procedure and it was fine. But that, I don't know maybe it was like what numbed me, but whatever it was physically drained me. So I got back to my apartment. I went all the way to Cumming to have it done. It was like a 45-minute drive.
Why are you going all the way back there?
Just because that's where my dentist has always been. And I figured, I'm like, I may as well just do it there. But when I got back, dude, I was so tired. I crashed for like 8 hours that day. So I woke up at like 9 p.m. on Monday. Like, what happened? But that was my Monday. And then I think it was Thursday this past week, I was gripping on set of a Lecrae music video. And that was a pretty cool experience.
It was cool.
It was in the blazing sun all day, but it was such a gorgeous house in Johns Creek. And it was just this mansion where they had this gorgeous backyard where we shot most of it with this huge pool, a jacuzzi, and then behind the house is this practically a lake. It's so large, but this huge pond with this unbelievable like forest view. It's like, this place is gorgeous. Mm-hmm. So the house is beautiful, but it was cool to be on set of that video and just having something creative to work on for the first time in months. It feels like that was cool. Went to I think I mentioned this to you before we started the podcast, the film premiere for a student film, which I'd say quality wise sort of exceeds that description, but a student film that I did all the sound design for with some kids I graduated with, where they rented out a theater to premiere it, which is pretty cool. And I never heard sound design I had done in like a theater before, like an actual movie theater. So it was pretty cool to experience that. That was fun. And then yesterday was an amazing day. I told Jacob I felt like a kid again because for the first time, and I swear, especially the last 4 years of school and everything going on, I woke up, sat down, and played Ghost of Tsushima practically all day long. Didn't do anything else. I played for like 10 hours straight. And it was amazing. I mean, but like I said, by the end of the day, I was like, I feel like a big loser right now. But I enjoyed every minute of it. So that was awesome.
Sounds like the dream.
It was, man. I wish I could do that at least once a week would be awesome. But unrealistic the older we get with responsibilities and everything. But that was
nice
awesome.
Every once in a while, though. Yeah.
And I did break up the game time with, I watched 4 episodes of The Last Dance, the Bulls documentary that just came out on Netflix. And it is phenomenal.
It's very good.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I really, really enjoyed that. I like how it's very unfiltered too. Like they don't censor like anything anyone says or anything. It's just funny to hear the way they describe their experiences. So
speaking of shows, I tried watching the Zac Efron show where they like travel across the world and just go to do unique things. Okay. And it's very poorly written. It's very cringe.
Oh, so it's narrative.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would classify it as cringe. That would be the best word for it. Because they go around like they do these really interesting things, but like just the way that like how Zach and the other dude that's with him just speak to each other, and how it's like it's clearly just like scripted and written in a certain way that's just really, it just makes you uncomfortable. It's like, why are you saying these things?
Okay,
Like,
let me clarify. Is this like a narrative dramatic show, or is it scripted? It's like a documentary that's heavily scripted. Because those exist.
It's sort of like they literally just go to places, and like it sort of has like a political undertone to it, where they're like, they're like they go to this place where they're like converting like CO2 to something else, and they're like pumping it underground because they're like in Iceland, and they're pumping CO2 back into the ground to like turn like the hot volcanic rock to more, I guess, solid rock. I don't quite remember. I wasn't really paying attention because I had lost interest at this point. But and there was like this political undertone to like, oh, we're doing this, but it's still not good for the earth, and like what we do here is so much better than what they're doing over in America, and with the same process. And it was just like, this is not really that interesting to me.
Nice.
But I guess it was like meant to be interesting because Zac Efron was there, and he's supposed to be there, standing there looking pretty, I guess. Mm-hmm. But
I like Zac Efron.
Yeah, he's a good looking dude.
So,
but yeah. And me and Clara were like making fun of Zach because every different time they went to a new place, he was wearing a different hat. He just always changed his hat.
Nice.
But yeah, I wouldn't recommend that show, but maybe it's for someone out there.
Avoid it then.
Yeah,
I'll steer clear. Thanks for the warning.
I mean, I only watched one episode, so maybe you give it a couple episodes.
You judged it pretty harshly off the first episode.
Yeah, it just wasn't that interesting.
That's fair though.
Because I'd heard good things about it.
What's the point?
Mm-hmm.
If it's not fun, why bother?
Exactly. I heard good things about the show, so I was like, okay, I'll give this a shot. But clearly, it just wasn't for me, I guess.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Well, that's what did it for our weeks, gentlemen. You guys want to talk about what we've been playing?
Wait, I have a few more things to talk about.
Do you?
A few more shows, actually. Yeah, I'm going to steal the spotlight for a second. Preston, I'm completely caught up on, what's that show called? Sword Art. So I'm completely caught up there.
Aren't new episodes still coming out? I see on Twitter, they're like, new episode out tonight and stuff. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I think they come out on Sundays, actually.
Okay.
So when I go home today, I'll actually have a new episode to watch.
Nice.
Yeah, it's kind of like disappointing because I watched like the whole series like at any pace that I wanted to. Like, when I would just watch like 3 and then,
now you have
2 another night. Now I have to wait like a week in between. So I'm like forgetting what's happening now, and it's kind of frustrating. But to supplement that, I've also started watching Promised Neverland. And that show is a lot better than I thought it would be. It's sort of about these orphans that are sort of raised on a farmland. And whenever they get to a certain age, depending like how well they do on like scores and stuff, because they're like tested as they're getting older, they get adopted, is what they're told. But actually, it's just demons like taking them and eating them. So nice. The whole show is just the kids like learning about this and trying to get away, I guess, and run away.
Sounds kind of cool.
Yeah. But I'm probably about halfway through it now, so
I'm really enjoying it. In terms of Sword Art, I based on seeing like tweets and stuff, it looks like the gang's all there at this point, right?
Yeah, they're all here now.
Is it better now that everybody's there? Like, what's your feeling on it?
Well, it was never not good. I want to make that clear, but it is like exciting to see like the whole gang there that you've gone through the whole series with. They're all back in one world, and the stakes are higher than they've ever been. So
really,
it's just cool to see. Well, yeah, they are. Because have you even watched any of the new arc?
Not to get any spoilery, I am to the part where Kirito and is it Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yeah, the blonde hair dude.
Yeah, where they first meet Alice in the tower.
Oh, wow. You're so far behind.
I know.
You got so much good stuff coming up.
Cool. Yeah, I definitely am going to get back to it. I just am the worst at watching anything at this point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, see, I probably watch too many shows and I don't play enough games, so I'm always falling behind in like Ghost of Tsushima, for example. But
yeah, I've kind of
how it is.
When I have any free time at this point, I'm just playing games right now. So
yeah. I guess it's just easy for me to like watch a show because I like to watch shows and eat at the same time. So
yeah,
they kind of just go hand in hand.
I just can't watch anime when I eat. I can't read.
Yeah, it's tough.
I can't read and eat at the same time.
See, I used to not pay for like Crunchyroll, for example, but I would just eat during the commercial breaks. But now I pay for like the premium, so I'm like, I gotta find moments when I can, or like even when I'm like eating, I'm still like staring at the screen, just But yeah, that's cool, man.
Cool.
You need to catch up.
Hunter.
You're still watching it?
Yeah.
Oh,
you know what's funny,
quit.
dude? I could have sworn I'd seen like 50 episodes. I'm only on episode 14.
Oh man.
Like, what is taking so long?
So my uncle's actually been watching Hunter x Hunter, and he's in like the fourth.
Yes.
He's in the fourth season or something. And
yeah, he's getting towards the end then.
yeah, he told me like something that happens, and I'm just like, what?
Does it have to do with chimera ants?
It has to do with like a video game or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, what happened to the show? Like, that's nothing like I thought it would. What would happen?
Yeah, the show has some crazy arcs.
Yeah, but he actually listens to our podcast occasionally, and he told me he like 100% agrees with you in terms of like some things just not being finished, because he is a little bummed by. He's like, there's so many like arcs that have not closed or anything. So
yeah, and the most disappointing thing is like he's already seeing those things, and like because he's not even done, like there's still a whole another like arc, like and it's probably the biggest arc of the show that's after the one that he's in.
Oh wow.
But even after that, nothing, like a lot of those stories just don't get told, which is unfortunate.
And what's the point?
It's a good point. Question or good
Should I even continue watching?
It's worth it, I think. There's a lot of good shows to see.
He is liking it, but
yeah,
that's just one of his complaints with it. But
it's just one of those shows that like clearly it wasn't meant to be done this early, like clearly, because they like set up so many intriguing just adventures that they could be going on.
So this is a show they don't intend to continue?
I don't think so. I think Kyle in our Discord, or Bojangles, I was talking to him and he said that the creator is ill, or he's like battling something. But I don't know if he intends to finish the show. I think they intentionally ended it because he couldn't reliably write new episodes.
Bummer.
But there's like a whole manga or whatever it's called for the show that even has more than what the show portrayed. But
okay,
I do still recommend watching all of it because it's really good, especially the last arc.
All right, I'll stick to it then. I am enjoying it. I haven't been even remotely disinterested the entire time. So
then you got Gon, who's
probably the most joyful person I've ever seen in my life. He's very Goku in that sense.
I still have to finish My Hero, Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan's most recent season was insane.
I know.
It was awesome.
That's what I've heard. I still need
Preston,
to finish.
You might be the king of not finishing animes.
I know, dude. I still need to finish Better Call Saul too. Like I still like well, even though I haven't finished it, Die on the Hill. That I think that's like one of the most underrated shows that like nobody talks about. It's freaking incredible.
Yeah.
I need to finish it though.
I'm guilty of it too. I watched it for a little bit and then I just stopped.
Yeah, like dude, the last season that I fully watched like blew my mind, and I've just heard that the one that I'm in the middle of right now, just the way it ends up is insane as well. So definitely need to finish that.
Yeah, that's how I get in games, YouTube, and shows. So all the time is I'll whenever I eat, instead of watching shows, I'll watch YouTube videos. And then obviously I'll play games when I have time to play games, but I only ever watch shows when I'm like getting into bed. Like that's what I basically fall asleep to. That's certainly not healthy.
It's not a good thing to do.
No, I know. I've been doing that for years. It's probably why I have so many sleeping issues, but that's how I get my shows in, is like I'll watch an episode as I fall asleep. So that's how I manage to get all three in. It's not easy, but I just do whatever you prioritize, be it games or shows or YouTube videos. It can be challenging, but a lot of good stuff out there to watch. Yeah. So is that all you had to share, Jacob?
It is. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now let's talk about what we've been playing. What have you guys been playing?
Ghost of Tsushima.
That about it?
Pretty much. Maybe something else? No, just Ghost.
Cool. Same. What about you, Jacob?
Pretty much the same. Yeah.
Cool. All right. It's been roughly a week, I guess, a little over a week. I assume we've all played at least several hours at this point. How you boys feeling about it?
Oh, hang on, Jacob. Did you finish The Last of Us?
Oh yeah, I did. I finished The Last of Us too. Yeah.
Hey, we'll say this now. It's been a while. Quick spoiler alert.
Well, actually, I was going to talk about it at the very end. How do you feel about that? It's like at the very end after we like close out.
How much
the show.
do you have to say?
Nah, not a whole lot.
Okay, let's just do it now. We have timestamps so people can skip over it if they don't want to hear it. Give us your spoiler-filled thoughts on The Last of Us Part 2. If you guys don't want to hear it, skip ahead. Timestamps in the description.
Okay.
Finally, Jacob's thoughts.
So I did indeed finish the game. I was, in fact, like an hour and a half from finishing it when I last spoke to you guys. I was not expecting like what happened to Abby there at the end. That was like how she was just hung up on that whatever you would call that, the cross or whatever. It was like crazy to see like how much she would just been like physically changed. Like she lost everything, and it kind of made sense because like she accomplished her goal of like, because I feel like she got big to take revenge on Joel. But it was actually crazy seeing like her lose, like, because I feel like that's like her most distinguished trait, in my opinion, was like she was huge and she was like menacing.
Well, physically, yeah.
But and then like the fight at the end between Ellie like going on a little mini journey to seek her out and I guess take revenge on what she did to Joel, and like clearly when Abby killed Joel at the beginning, it was like clearly set up to make you hate Abby. And it's just crazy. Like by the end of the game, like I didn't even think that one bit. Like I had so much sympathy for Abby, and I almost want to say that I like her more than Ellie, I think. And it's just crazy, like going through that whole experience, because like slowly as the game goes on, you're sort of like turning a new page on Abby, and you're like slowly and slowly as you go on her personal journey, once you leave behind like Ellie and you spent the whole back half of the game playing as Abby, you just realize like because nothing's ever like as simple as you think it is in this world. Like everything is just so complicated, and everything is just so like, for lack of a better word, fucked in this world. So it's just like it's complicated in every single way possible, and and Ellie and Abby both just lose so much, especially in this game. And actually probably Abby more so. Like she literally loses everybody. Like, everyone just dies, and it's mostly Ellie's fault. But I was listening to, I think it was Kind of Funny's podcast with Neil Druckmann and what's her face who plays Ellie. I forget her name.
Ashley Johnson.
Yeah, Ashley Johnson. Thank you. It was really crazy, like hearing how emotional the scene was where Ashley was talking about like the scene where Joel was being killed, and it was like, wow, like I never thought about like how like moving it would be, or like hard to be to shoot a scene like that where you like a character that you've grown, or that you spend like a whole game physically being in terms of like the voice acting, and like just like having that, like I could just imagine like putting myself in those shoes and like being in that moment and like having someone like that taken away in that world. It would be really I don't know, just hard to do. Yeah. But like going back to the end when Ellie and Abby were fighting, it was really like like how you have to like spam square, I think, to like push the knife into Abby. Like I often like found myself like I didn't want to press square. Like I was like don't make me do this. Like, do I have to keep pressing square? So like I just stopped at one moment, and like it seemed like right when I stopped, like it changed, like Abby pushed Ellie off. So I didn't know if like that was because I stopped pressing. You stopped spamming square. Like I wonder if like I know this probably isn't the case, but if I kept like spamming square, would I have killed her? Probably not.
I tried in my second playthrough. Yeah, if you stop pushing square, Abby takes the knife and stabs Ellie in the neck. So you have to.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So I guess I quit. I didn't quit.
Yeah, you did what you're supposed to.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, it was just like it was like I never like felt like that where I literally didn't want to kill this character, but the game was making me, or it was like it was kind of it was sort of leading me to think that I needed to do that. And I didn't want to do it. And it was like, I was like physically, like, I just didn't want to do it. And the game just made me do it. But thankfully, she didn't die. And then like, at the end, Ellie goes back to like everything that she left behind. And it's just so freaking sad. Like, and she walks back into the house and it's just completely empty except for the one room upstairs that has all her stuff in. And then she tries to play the guitar and it doesn't work anymore. Yeah. It's just so sad, man. I know. And then she just walks off, and it's like, I don't even know if I want another game after that. Like it's like an incredibly sad ending. And like for Ellie in a lot of ways, it's just completely unsatisfying. But I almost feel like it's a good send off.
What did
you almost like the first game could have been too?
What did you the scene that consistently sticks with me. Like I even thought about it yesterday because I follow the Last of Us subreddit, so I'm constantly seeing like people's thoughts. So I'm typically thinking about this game pretty much every day just because I read about it. But the scene that I think has stuck with me the most is the last time that Joel and Ellie ever talked on his front porch. Right, yeah. I freaking love that scene so much really good. Because it's just so sad. And I think I talk about this in our spoiler cast, just how it just like made me feel at like, I don't know if at ease is the correct term, but just knowing that in that scene where Joel's getting killed, like he's content with it. He knows that he doesn't necessarily know Abby, and he doesn't want to know. Like he even tells her like, I don't have if you're going to kill me, just get it over with. But he knows that with Ellie being alive, that, whatever he did, it was worth it, and that he would do it all again just to have her, be able to live. So his ultimate goal, was, achieved because Ellie, even though all like the absolute chaos she went through, like she is still able to walk away at the end of the game and, be able to, I guess it's up to your interpretation, go off and start again or go back to Jackson or, hopefully have like a somewhat happy end to her life.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. Yeah, that's a good take.
And Abby the same, because I don't know if I'm sure you heard in the spoiler cast as well, but like, the boat is at, is it Catalina at the end?
Catalina.
Her and, Lev, I guess made it to the Fireflies as well. So it almost kind of is, like you said, it's incredibly sad, but Abby and Ellie still can have a happy ending.
Yeah.
So
and because Ellie didn't kill Abby, she could have, like she was drowning her. Like if she wouldn't have done that,
Ellie could have killed Abby by not going after Abby.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like Ellie spends the whole game trying to go hunt Abby, but in the end, she's the one that saves Abby.
Yeah.
So
and there's so many beautiful layers to that game that you can just continue to unpack.
But having all that said, I'm glad you brought up the flashback there at the end with Joel, because I almost forgot to talk about that. That was a really nice moment, probably my favorite moment of the game, like you were saying.
Mine for sure.
But at the same time, I don't think this would ever be a game that I replay again, because as much as I enjoyed the story, I gotta say I really didn't enjoy playing the game that much. This wasn't really my kind of game. I was playing it on hard, so I was, encounters were probably a little more challenging than your average, normal difficulty. And I often I found myself wanting to get past things quicker than I could in the game. For it was mostly just because it was taking me so long to get through the game. Yeah. I was trying to speed through levels, and at times I would try to run through things, and you'd get to this thing where you have to hold triangle to push yourself through the crevice, and then an enemy would grab you from behind, you died, you have to do it all over again. Just stuff like that. And I enjoy stealth, sometimes, but when it's a whole game based around it, I don't know if I necessarily enjoy that as much anymore. And I don't want to say this game is not fun to play. Especially, I'm sure you guys loved it, and it had some great moments for you. But I think just for me, and just for how long it was, and just I don't know, it just wasn't my thing. But I want to say that at the end, because I wanted to talk about the things that I did really like about it first. And I think in terms of its narrative, it's second to none in terms of the storytelling that they achieved in this game. But I think I do like the first game much more, if I had to, just say which one I like more.
Like in terms of story?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I just as much as I do like Abby, I just like the relationship between Joel and Ellie more in the first game. I just think it was funner to me than what we got in this game. But I do think this game was a satisfying ending, in my opinion.
Nice. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how the story of Last of Us Part 2 has a greater impact on the industry as a whole. Because I don't, as far as I'm aware, there have been some pretty deep and multi-layered dramatic stories in games prior to this, but I don't think on this scale a game has told a story quite like this in video games. And I'm wondering how it's going to inspire other studios to tackle not only deeper themes, but things that really challenge players when they play through it, whether it's like an emotional challenge or like not necessarily gameplay. I'm not necessarily formulating this thought very well. I'm saying I think this game's going to have a greater impact on the industry over the next decade at the very least, especially stepping into next generation, because this is a very bold move on Naughty Dog's part. Whether you
there are a lot of bold
hate
things about it.
Yeah, whether you love it or hate it, I think it was it's a very important milestone in storytelling in games.
Mm-hmm.
So
I remember when I got to the point where you first take control of Abby, and like I thought that was very strange, because like I didn't expect that at all when I got to it. I mean, I had heard like mumblings about like, oh, you play as another character, but I didn't know it was going to be Abby. Like, are you kidding me? Like the person that like pissed me off at the very beginning, I have to play it like the whole second half of the game with her. Like, because I was like actually angry about it. Like Neil Druckmann talked about how he wanted you to be pissed off that Abby, killed Joel, and like I was mad. Like I was like, why would she do that? Because I don't think at that point, or maybe you learn as you get towards the end of Ellie. I don't quite remember, but you learn like, oh, like Abby was the daughter of the doctor that Joel killed. So it was just it was a roller coaster, just to say the least.
It just hit me yesterday. Not that it really has anything to do with what you were just talking about, but does Abby even know Ellie's name?
I don't know.
I don't know if she does. Yeah, that's what I found interesting too. Is that neither of them really know what the motivations were for each other. They just know that their fathers were taken.
That's what's so weird is we play so much as each character, and Abby is so important to Ellie, but like Ellie isn't important to Abby really at all until like the very end, once she sees what Ellie has done, and it's just so just weird to know so much about both of them, whereas like they don't know anything about each other, and like
it's also crazy.
They never do. Like they see each
at
other
the same time.
Yeah, they see
like
each other
Abby
3 times in the entire game, and where Abby kills Joel, and then at the theater where they're trying to kill each other, and then at the very end where they're trying to kill each other. Like they literally, I don't know, they know absolutely nothing about each other.
Well, I guess what I was going to say doesn't make sense, because they do try to kill each other at the theater. But well, I guess, does Abby try to kill Ellie, or is Ellie trying to kill Abby?
I mean, I think they're both trying to kill each other. They're just in a fight.
Because I was going to say, like, every time that Abby saw Ellie, even though like she probably didn't know her name, like she would always show her sympathy. But I guess that's not the case if they were trying to kill each other in the theater.
Yeah, no, because Abby comes there specifically to kill her.
Well, that's like right after she like sees Owen and
Mel
pregnant. Yeah,
because she
pregnant lady.
Up until that point, she had no reason to go after Ellie. I mean, as far as Abby knew, she left Ellie alive in Jackson.
That was her worst mistake.
Well, I mean, I just think it shows that those were the consequences of Abby going for revenge. I think that's just, of course, it's like overdone. It's the cycle of violence, but that's what it is.
And then you wonder, like, what could have happened if Ellie killed Abby? Like, probably nothing would have happened. Like maybe that kid, I forgot his name, but maybe he would have gone after her and tried to find Ellie.
Lev. Lev probably would have died there if Abby killed, or if Ellie killed Abby. I think Neil Druckmann just kind of says as well, and this kind of what I got out of it too, is that Ellie killing Abby just would have been it for Ellie. Like Ellie just would have kind of died there. Just like her sparing Abby kind of like saved that last bit of humanity that she had left.
It was also sad, like seeing the life that Dina and Ellie sort of had once they were in that house, and then Ellie choosing to leave that behind and go take another revenge mission.
Yeah. Did you do
with the persuasion of Tommy, I guess? I didn't expect Tommy to be alive. I was kind of surprised by that.
Dude, I know this is like repeating a bunch of stuff that we talked about in the spoiler, but I loved, well, love might be a strong word, but just I guess the way they portrayed Tommy at the end, of him just like going nuts. It's just how he's literally his wife left him. He's just so just physically destroyed and emotionally destroyed.
Yeah. It almost feels like he took Joel's death the worst in the end. Like he came out the worst just for how he's appeared, what he lost even.
Yeah, but I mean, Ellie couldn't. I mean, you saw just like she had severe PTSD.
Yeah,
because of it
you're
as
right.
well.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody was effed.
I guess it's not fair to say one was worse than the other.
Yeah. Did you? I know we're probably talking about this a little longer than we wanted to, but did you do the potato song?
I don't think so. It doesn't ring a bell to me.
Man.
What's the potato song?
When you're sitting on the tractor with JJ, if you sit there long enough, Ellie starts to sing.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Okay.
Cool. I love that part so much.
Yeah.
It's probably like that the happiest part in the game to me.
Mm-hmm. I think my happiest moment was still the the museum at the very beginning.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you do the whole thing where you put the hat on everybody, and then you put the hat on Joel. Yeah, and then like the whole little thing and he gave her the little tape and the whole space launch thing. I really liked that, and it reminded me that moment was the most like the first game for me, and that's why I liked it so much. But that's pretty much all I have to say.
Nice. So overall, felt pretty good about it.
Yeah.
Nice.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed what I took away from it.
Cool. Now, Ghost of Tsushima, the true PlayStation game that we've been playing. I am really liking it, but I don't know if I've hit the point where like it gets better yet. I feel like I have, but as of now, like people say, I've heard a lot of people say that they like this better than Horizon Zero Dawn. As of now, I do not like it better than Horizon.
Yeah.
I am still on the first act though, but I've literally done everything. I have all the stances. I think I have every ghost weapon. I've upgraded, I swear, at least half of all my skills. My sword is like half upgraded. My little knife thing for the assassinations is fully upgraded. So I'm like taking out dudes, extremely quick. I've got like the 2 bows. Yeah, so I feel like unless something comes out of nowhere, it looks like I've pretty much upgraded my dude halfway. And I'm really enjoying the combat. Like I love switching between all 4 stances. That's just a whole lot of fun. I'm actually using my bow a lot more than I thought I would. I just unlocked a armor set that is you're supposed to use with the bow. Like the draw is way faster. I think it looks really cool.
I just got that one too. I think I had like fight this woman in a duel.
Yes. Yeah.
That was challenging. Every time I have one of those duels, it takes me a few tries to get it.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm just bad or
no. Those are definitely the hardest parts of the game for sure.
And then it's like so like demoralizing when like once you fail enough times, it'll come up at the bottom. Try again or back out or like press circle to stop doing it.
I haven't got that
yet. I guess I'm just bad then.
Yeah, but that piece of armor has actually made me use the bow more, and I'm kind of having fun with it.
I've mostly been using the Ronin armor the most. I really like how that one looks.
Yeah, I do as well. It's more.
And I like how it does more damage, I think.
Yeah, and it's for stealthy stuff. It's better as well. They don't notice you as much. But yeah, that's like I said. I think I just rescued. I don't think this is spoilers, but I just did all the main quests. The last one I just did was rescuing the blacksmith from the camp. So I think I'm going to where he goes next. But I finished all the other main missions and every other. Well, my game's pulled up right now. I have a side quest with the Saki guy and then another side quest that just opened from a village I saved. So I have a few more things, but yeah, like I think y'all can probably, or especially Garrett, you've probably played way more than me, but yeah, so far I think it's really, really good. But I do think it's interesting that this has the highest user score on Metacritic than any other PlayStation game. And I think that is mainly because of The Last of Us. I think
Definitely.
100% it's because of The Last of Us. Because, like I said, I do think this is a really good game, but I don't think it's so far better than like God of War or even Horizon yet. But those are just my like initial thoughts. So
I think that what I really like about the game, and I'm still pretty early on. I would say I'm probably not even 10 hours in. I'm probably still pretty early. I just love how, and this is like something that a lot of open world games do, but every time that I try to go do a main quest, for example, I get like sidetracked and I'll do like 5 or 6 other things on my way there. And I just find that really refreshing. And I think that might be because I haven't played an open world game in a long time. But I also think this game just does a really good job of, like, even if you're on the way to do something, I guess I get distracted easy, but I'll see like a little bird flying and I'll be like, oh, I know that's going to take me somewhere, so I'm going to go follow it real quick. Or you'll like stumble across a fox den and you'll always want to go get that so you can get your upgrade point. But I don't know, it's really refreshing, like, because I haven't played a game like this in a while. But I think I sort of like share some of your sentiments. Like, I think Jin as a main character, he's not the most exciting to me. Maybe he becomes a little more exciting as the game goes on. Garrett, maybe you can speak a little more to that. But in terms of like the overall narrative, I'm not like 100% like in. You know, it's just sort of like it's happening, and I'm sort of just more enjoying the beautiful world around me and just enjoying the combat a lot. That's really what's keeping me, excited to play it. But yeah, I know we've already talked about this last week, but the game is just so gorgeous. And I just love just walking around. Like I'll intentionally just walk slowly on my horse and just take in the sights, and I'll be taking like photos on my PlayStation, and it's just a lot of fun to me. That's mainly what I've been having a lot of fun doing. And I think because of that, I've sort of like stifled my progression. I'm just taking a long time doing things, but I'm enjoying it. So who's to say I'm doing it wrong?
Yeah. No, it's definitely, I knew it was a big game, but the longer I've played, the more I'm like, my goodness, this game, I don't know how in the world reviewers finished it in quote unquote 30 hours. I'm like, how's that even possible? Because I swear I've played at least almost 20, and I'm maybe halfway, maybe. I don't even know if I'm halfway. I'm in Act 2. I assume there's 3 acts in the game. So if I just literally last night started Act 2, I'm like maybe an hour into Act 2.
Yeah.
I feel like I've played a lifetime in this game. But I will say, I do think the best parts are the presentation and the combat by far. Combat, as soon as you step into Act 2, is immediately more interesting because, like Preston said, once you unlock all the stances and upgrade half your stuff, I'm like, I'm kicking so much ass that I'm like not even thinking when I fight these guys. Like they're total punks. But then you get to Act 2 and they introduce these new enemies, which same way you feel. I'm still pretty disinterested in the narrative. Like, I don't really care about any of the characters, including Jin himself. I'm just having fun playing the game. But there's a moment that happens before you step into Act 2 that's actually kind of cool. It actually makes the narrative immediately more interesting than it was prior to this moment. But it introduces a new enemy type that I was not anticipating, and combat immediately became fresh again to a point where I'm like having to think very hard about every fight I'm in. Yeah. So that's really awesome, like when they introduce these new enemies. Yeah.
And see, I'm still pretty early on. Like, I only have water stance unlocked right now. So I'm still getting all my stances, and like just getting water stance for the first time, because I struggled a lot with the shield enemies, because it's like when you're playing on hard, I don't know if it's different on lower difficulties, but I feel like you have a very small window, like, because usually they'll open up with like one sword attack, then they'll try to bash you with their shield. For some reason, I would always fall for it. Like, they would always hit me. But like once I got that the water stance, like, they're just so much easier to deal with.
The
you
shield
hold
guys
triangle, and then you spam it a couple more times.
The shield
like,
guys that open with the unblockable shield attack are just a bunch of bastards. I hate that so
annoying. And then while you're trying to deal with those guys, there's like 2 guys trying to bow you down. It's just...
No, I will say by far the most annoying enemies are the archers. Yeah. I hate the archers.
And always more show up. Like, you'll take care of 2 of them, then like another wave will come in. There'll be like 5 more that you have to deal with.
I think generally the combat in this game, I don't want to go on too many tangents. I have a lot to say, but I think generally the combat is much deeper and more enjoyable in this than Jedi Fallen Order. But one upgrade in Fallen Order that I wish this game had is that, for example, in Fallen Order, the first block upgrade is like you can just hold and you'll block blaster bolts without even have to think about it. But the second upgrade in Fallen Order is you can sprint towards them. It'll block automatically. This game needs that so bad, dude. I am sick and tired of having to just slowly move toward them, blocking shots, kind of like dodge.
And then a guy comes up behind you and
like it's just
hits you.
annoying. Like it's not even fun to me. Like they drive me insane. Like they don't even do that much damage. They just annoy me, especially when they won't quit shouting at you. And then like especially the guys that they unlock new archers in Act 2 where they're firing arrows at you like a machine gun.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is so stupid. Like those are the only annoying enemies that I can't stand. Now it is really satisfying when you get up to them and just absolutely cut them to pieces.
No, yeah, they're so weak when you get close.
And the beauty of the game is, and I'm glad that like what reviewers were sharing is true. The longer you play, even when you're upgrading your abilities, when they introduce new enemies, you're using all the stuff you've upgraded in entirely new ways. So combat has not become even remotely stale to me at this point. And especially when you're combining like fully upgraded stance moves that you have, like you unlock water stance, but the tiers within water stance you unlock are just amazing.
Yeah, like the combos.
Yeah, so like all of them have so much depth, and like just combining like your special attacks with all of your different stances is just so satisfying. And that's what I love about the enemies is that each of them, and there's different tiers. Like you have like your standard Mongols, and they go all the way up in like the different colors they wear, and like some shield guys fight differently than the other shield guys. So each enemy type you fight is always somewhat interesting. Yeah. So combat by far and wide is like the strongest aspect to me, in addition to just the gorgeous visuals like you shared. Music and sound design are beautiful too. Like when you have a great pair of headphones on or just like an amazing sound system, like it's just so enveloping. It's gorgeous. Yeah. I was talking to Preston about this. I still think like the weakest aspect is the looting in the game. I don't think it really serves the game that well. I mean, it gives you a reason to explore the world to an extent. It also gives you a reason to explore these encampments and villages and stuff.
It's never exciting though. You're just walking around to see what supplies.
I think
you
it's
can
just
pick up.
far too tedious. Like I was telling, like I think it'd be much more satisfying if you liberate a base, and instead of having to then, whether or not you were sneaking around before and like found stuff along the way while you're taking guys out, but like because I almost always just go right into combat because I think it's way more fun than stealth. And I have a lot of stealth upgrades too, which at times are kind of cool. When let's say I'm like overwhelmed by like 15 guys, I'll drop a smoke bomb and like do my double assassination on 2, and then like throw out my shuriken things, whatever they're called, and like take out other guys. So when you're like mixing ghost and samurai together in a fight, it's so sick. Yeah. But it's annoying to like liberate a camp and then have to just very tediously go around each tent, each nook and cranny to find all your supplies. And I know there's the charm that I think Frosty mentioned that, you know, you get like double the amount if you're finding stuff, but I just think it's very tedious. And I said it's not really the game's fault, but a big part of that is because I just spent 30 plus hours in Last of Us Part 2 looting every 5 seconds. That's one of my like minor gripes from Last of Us. It's like the loop is just, by the end of the game, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of over this. Like I'm loving the story, but the gameplay loop kind of got old to me. Had I not spent that much time in Last of Us looting, I wouldn't care as much here probably, but I don't really think it serves the game all that well. I
think you're right.
Different ways to reward you for materials.
Yeah. I don't think it's like awful though. Like it has a purpose. I don't know if looting necessarily needs to be the most exciting thing, but then you could argue if it's even necessary at all.
I just like, and part of me, as much as I love exploring the open world, part of me wonders like how this would have differed if they have the same level of beauty in like a more linear game. Yeah, because I'm like
a God of War or something.
Yeah, I think I've played so many open world games at this point in my life that this one doesn't. Aside from like the way they try to immerse you with like following the wind versus looking at a compass and following animals to points of interest. I think that's definitely, there's definitely fresh ideas in this open world, certainly, that I think is definitely going to influence other open world games in like many positive ways. So that's awesome. I think, but at its core, like this open world experience isn't that much different from other open world games I've played. Yeah. So, and I think I've played so many at this point that.
Are you holding that against it though?
No. Like I think that's why I'm the things I love are the combat and presentation, but like the open world aspects and the looting aren't my favorite. Story's okay. But now that I've entered Act 2, like some of the characters I've gotten to know a little bit more. And that's thanks to playing their side quests. I've played many of the side quests like leading up into Act 2. Yeah. That does definitely help you get to know them a bit better and makes them a little more interesting. What's something else I like really love about it?
I like how all the armor sort of like upgrades. Like as you upgrade the armor, it physically changes how it looks. It looks more impressive. I think that's cool. It's such a it's not a minor thing, but I think it goes a long way to me enjoying the game more, I think.
Yeah, that's actually the first thing I did when you get to Act 2. Finally, like, okay, Jen, you need to go get your father's armor. I'm like, oh, 6. I'm already assuming it's going to be quite an ordeal to get it. Mm-hmm. And I realize you step into Act 2 and it's at the furthest point of the map where he lives. Yeah. So all I did is I set my marker and rode my horse straight there all the way through this gigantic new area. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, you look at my map, it's just all blurred out in like one street up to the north end. And I was like, I want that immediately. And it was amazing because I hadn't ridden my horse that far through the open world because I'm always like getting distracted.
Is it bigger than you thought it was?
It is huge, dude. It's so big. And like, I'm so excited to explore all the areas. Like you pass through so many different terrains and all these different places to explore and like different types of trees and
different colors,
bushes and colors and areas, the way it looks and it's presented. I'm like, I can't wait to explore all this. But I rode my horse straight there, got the armor, fully upgraded the armor, and I can already tell, I'm like, this is cool, but I can already tell it's not going to be my favorite armor in the game. Yeah. So grateful to have acquired that. But there's something else that really stuck out to me that I wanted to talk about. I can't remember what it was.
What is does the second act or second part of the island, is it like, what does it do to separate itself from the initial area? Or does it kind of...
I couldn't say yet because, like I said, I've just ridden through it very quickly. So I've yet to determine that. Now, enemy types, at least the one type of enemy I've encountered, I'm sure there might even be more the further I progress into it. But the new enemies is definitely a big part. And but as far as like the way the open part feels, like I've only gone in a straight line. So east and west, no idea what it's like on this new side of the island. But also new characters that are unlocked that have even more side quests. So, yeah, I mean, I love the duels are awesome, especially the boss fights are really cool. What's another thing?
I do like the boss fights though. Like as challenging as bad as I am at them, they're really satisfying to like conquer once you do them.
Yeah. Those are cool. I had something right before you said that. I knew what it was, and I forgot again. Oh, crap.
Probably my biggest complaint, I forgot to bring it up, with the game thus far is two things. I do think some of the side things are pretty repetitive. Like I don't get the fox.
Oh, very.
I don't get the fox shrines. Like what's the point?
Oh yeah, you get to them. They just very slowly unlock charm slots. Which
no, like I understand that. Like, but why am I? It's just like I just follow a fox and then I unlock a charm thing. Like it's like
yeah. And some of those I've stumbled upon without the fox too.
Yeah, no, same here. It's just like I every time I see one of those pop up on my map, I'm just like, okay, cool.
Yeah, here we go again.
Exactly.
Well, thankfully they're never like a huge ordeal, right? You just follow it for a second. And then
I know that's why I'm just like confused why they didn't come up with another way to get charm slots. That just seems like it's just so boring. Like at least
I don't think it's that bad.
I mean,
I think you're being a little overly harsh.
I mean, you follow a fox and sometimes it's like not even over platforms or anything. Like I just followed one around a rock. It's like, I just think they could be, I mean, it's not like, I'm not like mad about it. I'm just like,
I know what you mean.
Maybe they could have done that a little better. Like I really like the, I forget what they called them, but the platforming things, even though the platform isn't challenging at all, it's still cool to kind of see the pathways to get to these, the ends of them. Do you even know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The gate areas.
Yeah.
Like I did one yesterday where I was like scaling like down this entire mountain and it like took a while to get to the end. It was just really cool looking. Was it hard? No, because the platforming is like automatic pretty much. I mean, it feels like infamous platforming where you kind of like gravitate towards everything. But it's those are definitely the coolest things, side activities in the game thus far.
Have you unlocked the grappling hook?
No, I'm assuming that's what the blacksmith makes for you.
Yeah, as soon as you get that, platforming's automatically more fun.
Yeah, I have gotten to a few places where it's like, you can't finish this without an item. And I'm like, grappling hook.
Yeah. So that makes it way more interesting.
Cool.
And you and I talked about the platforming a bit too. I mean, ever since Breath of the Wild, we're both like, man, I don't think platforming's ever going to feel the same in any game after that. Because just the freedom you have to climb anything is just so satisfying. And in some ways, like we said, the open world and like many aspects of the game, I think combat and the way they immerse you into the world with traversing it feels pretty fresh for I guess you could say like the open world action RPG genre. But like the platforming, when you just come up to a mountain and see like the very obvious ledges you can and cannot climb. I wouldn't even say it takes me out of the game. It's just kind of like I've been doing that for so long in so many games that it's not all that fresh in that area. But the grappling hook definitely helps when you're not only just jumping in between ledges, but having to. You almost feel like Spider-Man sometimes, like throwing the grappling hook out, swinging onto a branch, and then throwing it out somewhere else and swinging again is pretty cool. And the ways that ties into enemy encampments as well, if you want to be stealthy, is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
So,
what have you guys thought about the actual performance of the game? Because I did a boss fight yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I don't know. Getting the heavy bow, where you have to fight like a demon, and have you done that, Jacob?
No.
Okay, well, small spoiler alert. But when you fight this boss, there are like these birds that are like circling you, and the frame rate was absolute trash to the point where I swear all my deaths were because I could not parry correctly because the game was so framey.
That's interesting. I didn't have that problem there.
Yeah, it was.
The only place I've seen it slow down is that main village where like the gift altar is.
Oh, the golden
Every
temple?
time I go there, it just slightly slows down a little bit.
Yeah. And it wasn't unplayable, but it was definitely consistently noticeable in that boss fight to me. Which was
I wonder, since I have a standard PS4, I wonder if it will be worse for me.
Well, I'm on resolution mode as well, so I guess I could try out the higher frame rate mode, but yeah, I definitely would love to be playing this on a PS5 that's updated for it to be running better for sure. Or PC.
Yeah, maybe that'd be PC one day. Yeah. Please. Man, what was something else that reminded me of? Oh yeah, I just continue to see just the gnarliest glitches sometimes, and it's all because the game has priorities, which is presentation is a big one with all their particle effects. They had to make sacrifices, and those lack of physics, man, lead to some of the funniest glitches sometimes, dude. I'm talking like, I took so many screenshots in case I ever have to like prove my point for some reason. I'm like, it isn't a bad thing. Like I understand why the game is the way it is, and it doesn't take away from the combat. The combat is still so much fun, but countless times, I'm talking guys, their head is on the edge of a cliff and their body is just sticking out like a diving board, like on so many objects. It just looks funny. Yeah. And it happens so frequently because the game's so, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to be like, it has a lot of hills. There's a word I'm looking for. Mountainous, I guess. It's just not flat by any means. Right. So every time someone dies on a hill, it just looks funny. Mm-hmm. But aside from that, it is so much fun to play. I am like definitely having more fun playing this than I had playing Last of Us. And I really enjoyed Last of Us gameplay for the majority of it. But by the end, I was like, okay, I've kind of had enough of this. But whereas this, it continues, especially in terms of combat, just continues to get more and more enjoyable as I progress. So just talking about it now, in spite of like the few things that I don't love as much about the game, I'm still thoroughly excited to jump back into it because it's been a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's all I want to do is play the game. Like, right now. Like I'm still having a blast with it.
And that's the beautiful thing. When it comes to like video games, like gameplay always reigns supreme. I mean, there are certain aspects of games, most recently example being Last of Us, where I think the story transcends the gameplay in many ways. At the end of the day, I still always hope for a gameplay experience that keeps me engaged, even over a story. Yeah. And this very much, I mean, the beautiful thing is when both of those come together in like perfect unity, whereas this, like, it's not even bad. The story isn't even bad. It's just like not all that interesting, and the characters are sort of, I wouldn't say one note, but you don't get a whole lot out of them. But
do you think some of that's lost in because we're reading subtitles? Maybe.
I actually went back to English. I couldn't do it anymore. Yeah, but I played for about 4 hours in Japanese, and I was just constantly having to look at subtitles trying to play the game.
Yeah, it's annoying when you're in combat and you're like, I need to like watch for this parry, but I need to like see what they're saying too.
Yeah, it was just too much. So, but I've heard that like the ending's pretty cool, and I think there's like I don't think this is a spoiler. There's like a choice you have to make at the end that makes things interesting. So. I look forward to that. I'm sure like by the end, and I'm not trying to judge the game, like story's not that good before finishing it. I just think presently I'm not that engaged by it. But by the end, that may be a different situation for me.
So I haven't tried the English voice acting at all. Is it good enough to use?
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might try it.
I will say I am absolutely addicted to upgrading the armor.
Yeah.
Not even for just the skills. Like I just love that it looks cooler as you upgrade it. So
that's why I like the Ronin armor so much, because like you start out with that stupid you can see through the straw hat like it's barely even still intact, and then you like upgrade it a couple times and it's like much better looking.
Then you upgrade it to the very end and it looks the stupider than anything before it. Have you seen the final version?
I haven't, no.
Oh my gosh, dude. The hat is ridiculous.
Is it like huge?
It is. It's like a satellite dish on your head.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Well, thankfully you can take the hat off.
I just wear the white headband pretty much with everything.
Yeah.
I've unlocked a lot of cool headbands.
I found a death headband that has like blood splatter all over.
Yeah, that
it.
one's cool.
that one's
awesome.
Have you unlocked the fear headband?
Is that the one with the red crosses on it?
Yeah. I think that one's pretty cool.
Yeah.
See, one thing that I think is really dumb is those like where you have to like make haikus or something, where you have to like
write poetry.
You like pick the different things on the screen. Like I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just picking things that sound nice.
The first three, I was like thinking about it. Now I'm just like hitting everything as fast as possible to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
Dude,
I'm like trying to imagine like how stupid this sounds. Like it probably doesn't even make sense what I'm selecting.
That's another thing that like it's really pretty and stuff, but I wish there was a way to just skip it. Or do like an auto select or something, because I feel like the game does so many good things about just kind of like getting you through everything. Like it picks up everything for you. The fast travel is so freaking fast. My kill
the loading continues to blow my mind out.
Yeah, you guys weren't kidding about the loading. It is insanely fast.
Yeah. Stupid.
Like
fast.
Even like starting the game for the first time, like you press like continue your adventure, and like you're playing within 5 seconds.
Yeah,
it's insane.
And even like I have the stealth assassinations fully upgraded. Do you have that all the way as well, Garrett?
Yeah.
It is like just like they're dead.
Yeah, you're just like blowing through them so quick.
Which I actually preferred the animations of the second upgrade, because
those were sick.
Those were so cool. Now it's just like you're just stabbing everybody in the throat and just like running by them. So it's cool in the sense of you can do it faster, but like I said, I kind of wish I could go back to the second animation just because of how cool they were. But it does everything so fast. And then like the haikus, maybe that's the point, is it's trying to slow things down. But I wish there was an option to speed them up. But I did have a pretty funny glitch where once you pick the haiku and Jin actually recites it and it goes like to the points of interest that you picked. I had my horse in one of them and his leg kept glitching up on this rock. So it was like this gorgeous shot with like my horse spazzing out like in the dead center of it. It was hilarious.
Hey, this is his moment. Don't ruin it.
But
there's a lot of monotony in some of those things. Like even like the hot spring pools you get in. Like I've seen Jin's ass like 50 times now. I'm like, I get it. Can we just get through this? Because you have to like pick something for him to reflect on. I'm like, just give me the health upgrade. It's like it goes back to like having to loot everything after you liberate a base. Like, just give me everything.
I've only seen one of those so far. It was the one that you had to do during one of those side quests. I think is when I think it was for the Ronin armor actually, where you have to like it was with the Straw Hat people. I think you were invading some Mongol town or something. But that was the only hot spring I've been in. But
some of the
I did see his ass and it was nice.
Some of the reflect on things are hilarious. It's like I just strip in the buff, get in the hot springs, and just like I'm gonna reflect on my mom.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot of it's funny. Like in some ways the game feels tedious, repetitive, and kind of dated, but in many ways it feels very fresh. Like I think it's some of the best melee combat I've ever played in my entire life by far. And I almost hope like the next Jedi game from Respawn takes a page out of this game's book, because I think this combat would be even more fun with lightsabers. It'd be sick.
I think you might have mentioned that you were comparing it to Sekiro last podcast, maybe. I don't remember what you said.
A little bit, but I didn't go into too much detail because I hardly played Sekiro.
Yeah, because like I didn't feel that at all. But like I kept thinking about Sekiro because it's sort of like kind of the same setting.
It's
kinda.
Not like Sekiro.
Yeah, the only
like I enjoy
like
Sekiro much more.
That's the parry system. Yes, but literally everything else. No.
I do enjoy the combat a lot, but I don't think it's like the best thing ever. Like I think it's
it gets way better once you start.
It does. Like the more you play, the better it gets. Yeah. Especially where I just got, because I was under the impression before Act 2, I was like, okay, I guess I faced every enemy in the game. Like, I can slaughter all of them, and then they unlock these new guys, and you're like, it's a whole new world.
Okay.
It's awesome.
All right. I'm excited.
So yeah,
I'm still having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, there's nothing quite as satisfying when you have like 15 guys to fight and you just perfectly nail all your parries, perfectly nail your stances, and of course all your ghost items like sticky bombs, smoke grenades.
I love those smoke grenades.
Those I keep calling them shurikens. They're called something else.
I think they're
kunai. Yeah,
kunai.
Just like combining everything and like not taking a hit and just like slicing that last guy, and you're just standing there and they're all dead. It's like so awesome.
Then you wipe your sword off and sheath it, and then you see there's 3 guys running around on the ground. So you're like, oh,
yeah, and you have to like, stab them. Yeah, that's why in every fight now when I finish, I stand there for like 10 seconds to like look around. I'm like, okay, I'm good, and then I wipe it off.
Yeah,
I think that's why I like the water stance so much because he has like that stance above his head. I just think it's really cool.
My favorite is what's the big guy stance?
Moon stance.
Moon.
Yeah,
yeah. Cool. When he's standing with his sword out up in the air, that one's awesome.
Yeah. Have you gotten the trophy for shooting a straggler with a bow as he runs away?
Yeah,
yeah. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, that's what's pretty cool about the ghost armor is that it adds a 4th execution to your standoffs. So not only can you kill 4 guys, but it also has a chance to like scare them now. So like if you kill all 4 of them, there's a chance that 1 or 2 of them are just going to run off afterward. So it's a pretty cool perk of that armor, the ghost armor. So if that's even the ghost armor, I think it's just called the Sakai armor.
Saki.
His dad's armor.
Nice.
So yeah, really, really fun game. Like I don't even like remotely dislike it. There are elements I don't love as much as others, but overall, I am really positive.
Very excited to obviously finish this game. Like I'm gonna platinum this game, play the crap out of it. Like I said, I'm having a blast with it. But because they're similar games, I see a lot of comparisons of this game to Horizon Zero Dawn. And like I said, initially, I think I like Horizon better. I just think just the world and just how cool the combat is. I mean, you're fighting like robot dinosaurs. That's just so freaking cool to me.
And exploiting their weak points with like the various.
I just think that's a blast. But granted, I played that 3 years ago, so my memory's kind of iffy. So I am so excited to finish this game and then hop on Horizon on PC. Right after. So I'll be very interested to see how I feel about Horizon. Granted, it might not even be fair because I'll be playing it on PC with like higher frame rate and everything. So that in itself, just with mouse and keyboard, having the ability to hit the weak points of the dinosaur or robots even better might give me a better like feel for the combat. So it might not really be fair to compare them at that point. But I'm really excited to kind of like compare them back to back now.
Yeah, that's what's interesting is that there are many similarities, but think about how different they are as well. It's not only just the settings they're in, but also that Horizon is a phenomenal ranged-based combat system, whereas Sekiro is all melee-based.
Yeah.
That's what's pretty cool too, is that they both excel in those areas.
Yeah, and that's I don't feel like I'm gonna, having just played this game, be like too like sick of open world games to go into Horizon, because I do think their combat plays out like so differently.
I'm trying to remember. I know there's definitely looting in Horizon, but I don't know if it's to the same extent as this game.
It's pretty loot heavy because you have to upgrade your gear. You have to go up to the robots and loot them, and then there's
now
branches.
Yeah, it's all coming back now.
It's pretty similar in that aspect.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm hoping. We won't go on a huge tangent, but like we talked about, it'd be cool if Horizon introduced the climbing mechanics from Zelda, and then of course they evolve that gameplay beyond like I don't want just more of the same, like in a prettier world with better graphics. Like I would hope it's something fresh gameplay wise. So
yeah, you're gonna feel the tension of the bow on the haptic triggers, man.
Right. Yeah, that's one thing. Anything else about Tsushima before we carry on?
No, I think if you're a fan of open world games, I think this game does a pretty fresh take on some things, and it's definitely fun to play. So if you got a PlayStation, definitely pick this one up if you haven't already.
For sure.
I do. I just think it's so cool to have an open world like samurai ninja game. I just think that's so cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I
that's
think
what we want from Assassin's Creed.
And I think it's so cool that it's selling as well as it is. It's just like anything that Sony first parties are putting out. Like it's like at this point they can just put out anything.
It's like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They can throw something out, everyone's gonna consume it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, assuming it's good, but it's like everything is good. But it's just really cool that it's like Sony is trusting their studios to kind of just do what they want, do different things. Like they could have been safe and done another Infamous and stuff, but it's really cool that we got something as so different like this, something that like we don't have. So very cool.
Like you're saying though, like it's really cool that Sony has sort of built up like this sort of reliable group of developers that consistently put out kind of similar games, but they're all just high quality AAA narrative experiences, and they're all unique in their own way, and they're all just really compelling to play. And then like you look at someone like Xbox who's trying to potentially do something like that maybe, but they're just not there yet. So
wow, dude.
I'm sure we'll talk about them here pretty soon.
A lot of Xbox talk today, to say the least. You guys want to jump into the news?
Let's do it.
Gentlemen, the Xbox Showcase. It happened. We've seen Infinite. We've seen trailers for other games. As far as I'm aware, was Infinite the only gameplay demo we saw from the Showcase?
No, we saw more.
I think so.
Okay, because I haven't even watched the Showcase.
Oh, you
I've
didn't
only
watch
seen
it?
Halo. I've seen some of the trailers, but like I was not about to sit through that. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean,
There was
I didn't watch it
stuff.
live. I was sort of skipping through it. I was watching it as I was eating a meal one night. I think it was the night that went live, so Thursday night. If we're just gonna jump into Halo, I was pretty disappointed, honestly.
Same. That is unequivocally the most underwhelming presentation of any game. One of the most underwhelming presentations, period, I've ever seen in my entire life, and that's because of my history with Halo and the track record 343 has. And then going into this, and I'm not just talking about like the graphics people are complaining about, like even gameplay. I'm like, this is not even slightly interesting to me.
Yeah. See, that wasn't even my problem. It was just that was all we got. Like it was just like he ran around this, which a pretty big space it seemed like, which I'm all aboard for. Like I like the idea of there being like a big Halo map and there things to do on this map. Like I don't know. I think that's kind of compelling, and it's something new for Halo, and I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. But just the fact that all he did was like shoot some guys, go pick up some guns, go up an elevator, and take out some more guys. Like that's all that happened.
Yeah, and then here, like I think a speech that was a little too long from our main villain. I was like, gosh, wrap it up. Goodness gracious.
It just looks like a cabal from Destiny.
Yeah. Now I will say gameplay wise, let's talk about gameplay first. I'm all for the ideas as well, because I want something fresh for Halo, more so than just, we added sprint and like jetpacks or like a dodge ability or something. But I'm open
There's
to
a
the
grapple
idea.
hook, right?
Yeah, I'm open to the idea of an open world in Halo, because Halo at its core is a sandbox to begin with, and like the sandbox moments, especially in multiplayer, are oftentimes unexpected, and like really anything can happen. It's wild. So I think Halo can certainly thrive in an open world setting. Even if it is like Far Cry style. And I've heard there's, of course, things you can upgrade on Chief and his abilities and whatnot. Inherently, obviously, the grappling hook is a big addition, not unlike Doom in that sense. But I think it's cool that you can use it to not only traverse the map itself, but use it in combat is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I'm all for those ideas. And enemy variety, I'm sure there's going to be more than just the, I think they call them the banished, like the brutes, the elites, grunts, jackals, hunters, blah, 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 blah. That's all in there.
Yeah.
Just something about it was just, I don't know why. I was just bored watching it the whole time. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I mean, and I love Halo. Like I've repeatedly said that for 5 years on this podcast, how much as I love Halo, but something about the gameplay just didn't seem that fun to me. And again, I might just need to play it, but I even in the past, I've enjoyed watching Halo gameplay. Maybe just because this didn't really show anything new aside from the grappling hook and some new weapons that he used.
What was that first weapon that he picked up? Was it a new AR or something?
It looked like it was like more of like an automatic, like DMR in a sense. It's kind of like, it kind of reminded me of like a DMR, but it was like automatic. At least it seemed to be automatic to me.
Yeah. How do you feel like how the guns sound?
I was going to say, I think the sound design is not impressive.
You don't think so?
Which it and I listened to it on headphones. I've seen the gameplay demo like 3 or 4 times. And that's what kind of bums me out, is that they kind of made a big emphasis over the last couple of years that the Slip Space engine provided them all these new ways to really tackle sound design, and they like put behind the scenes videos of the way they were recording certain audio for the game. And I was like really stoked for that, but I think every weapon kind of sounded weak. And like the Warthog kind of sounds more like a motorcycle than it does like a Warthog.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just so many parts of it that, like I said, underwhelming. I don't think any of it necessarily even looks bad. I'm just like, I expected more in many ways. And it's interesting not to jump too far ahead of the graphics just yet, but I think the reason why it looks the way it does could be, on one hand, like they said, oh, it's an old demo, which, first thing, why are you showing an old demo? Like, I know they came out and said, like, oh, it's a pandemic, like, it's crazy right now. I'm like, but look at all these other companies that put out really solid demos over the last few months. You shouldn't show an old demo. Now, I think the gameplay trailer was far more impressive than the gameplay demo they gave us.
Yeah.
So if that's like a more recent build, if that trailer is put together from a more recent build, then great. But I think it was very foolish on one hand to show a gameplay demo that they claim is old, and then also present it on a PC with quote unquote similar specs to the Xbox Series X. If those are similar specs to the Xbox Series X, it certainly isn't the graphical beast we've been told it is. Yeah. And I think the reason being is because on one hand, it's a big open world Halo game. Secondly, I think it's undeniable that it is being held back for all the other consoles it's available on. And I think at the end of the day, it's obvious that Game Pass is what Microsoft is pushing even more so than exclusives at this point. Like, you can play any of these games for $5 a month or less, or 15, whatever it is for the Plus.
Yeah.
So bless their hearts, 343, whether they're allowed to say it or like want to comment on it or not. I think they have to make it compatible with all these different systems. Like, it's obviously going to be held back. Yeah. So, and I wouldn't be as concerned if they presented this, whether it's on PC or Xbox Series X, and it looked incredible.
Yeah.
And then if it looked like the way it did on like a standard Xbox One, that's understandable.
Yeah. The graphics don't even like upset me that much because it looks like Halo to me. Like, that's what Halo is. Like, that color palette is very Halo to me. But at the same time, it does look a little just not impressive.
It looks dated, and I think a part of that is just the textures, like even like the 4K images. I mean, Digital Foundry's done the best breakdown of this that like really puts things into perspective.
Oh, really?
Of like, even in 4K, like anything can look crystal clear. If the textures suck, it doesn't matter. It's going to look kind of crappy. Mm-hmm. It just makes the imperfections even more obvious when it's in 4K.
Yeah.
And I think the arguments people have made of like they presented this in 2K with much higher res textures, it might be even more. Would be much better looking. And they talk about the lighting as well. The lighting's very poor, and that certainly isn't helping it. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. That's the least of my concerns is the presentation. But I don't know.
I'm just surprised they didn't show anything multiplayer. Like, I know they said they weren't going to.
Yeah, and we'll undeniably see a lot more of this prior to release, and I'm sure we'll get like a solid beta at some point. But I think the ideas sound cool. Like, I'm all for exploring an open world, and I heard that the Halo you're on is not the only area you explore in the game. So that I'm all for. I think the grappling hook could be pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to make it clear, like, for myself, like, I'm still really excited for Halo, and I'm still going to play it. But
I'm definitely gonna
and like
play
we were
it
just super negative just talking about it now. But
I think that's the coolest thing that I got from the Xbox showcase, and I think Alana Pierce did a freaking amazing video about this, is that nobody is talking about the Game Pass. That even all these games that people are kind of like lukewarm on, like, you can play them with a Game Pass.
Yeah.
Like, especially on PC, it's $5 a month. Everything that was in this showcase, like, I'm subscribed to Game Pass, and I don't even use it that much, but like, for $5 a month, just to know that, like, if I want to hop on Master Chief Collection, or if I want to hop on
play the new Ori.
Exactly. Like, that's how I played Ori. Like, it's there. It's just such an incredible value. And that all of these games, it's just like, we don't even have to think about buying them if you're subscribed to Game Pass. You're just going to get them. I think that's so freaking awesome.
It still blows my mind. Like, how is it profitable for them?
It doesn't make sense to me either, but I love that it exists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know for me, like, I'm going to cancel that right when I'm not playing something. Like, I'm not going to keep that active.
Yeah. I mean, I love the subscription service. I didn't buy Fallen Order. I paid $15 on EA Play and beat it in a month, and then canceled my subscription. And I had an entire month to play the game for $15. Like, I know Uplay's doing the same thing. I'm not going to buy Valhalla, especially with, my thoughts on it, but I'll Uplay it and have it for a month to see how I feel about it. Like, I freaking love that. So bring them on, bring on the subscription services. But, I share the same opinions kind of as y'all did about Halo. I'm excited for it. The graphic stuff doesn't bug me really. It's like, it's whatever. I didn't think it looked awful really firsthand. Of course, when you see like all the memes and stuff of like the brute's face and stuff, which there's some hilarious pictures. It's kind of like funny, but like I'm not too concerned about the whole fidelity and stuff. I know it'll look better when it comes out. I think I saw some comparison pictures from Halo 5's beta to the release where it looked actually like significantly better and stuff. So I'm just going to assume that 343 this is going to look better by release and stuff. But yeah, I'm looking forward to actually play a new Halo on release on PC. Sure. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I can't wait to see like actually explore the Halo. Will be cool.
Yeah, I think it's
that's
co-op
what I loved about
as well, or up to 4
that's
players.
That's what I've heard. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I've also heard. I don't know if this is multiplayer only, but I've heard that it's 2-player split screen in multiplayer, but not 4, which is all right. At least they have split screen to some extent. That's the thing. I'm at a point in my life now. Like that'll be a rarity for me anyway. But no, I look forward to that because, like they said, they want to return to form, that nostalgic aspect of exploring the first Halo in the first game. Like the second level of the second mission in the first Halo game is very much like this demo, where it's just giant open area to run around and kill enemies in. But now there's on an even larger scale. I think they said it's larger than Halo 4 and 5 put together. Yeah. So that's exciting, like because Halo, like everyone knows, is a sandbox. So exploring this big open world, you never know what you're going to run into. And I'm sure all the Halo gameplay to me has always been a good time, just fighting a bunch of enemies. So I look forward to seeing what there is to discover aside from just killing things the whole game. Yeah. So
I didn't really feel very like I didn't like the dude that was accompanying Master Chief in the gameplay or the trailer, I guess.
The pilot.
I don't like why is he there? Like, who is this guy?
I think he's supposed to.
They're kind of keeping that under wraps right now.
I think he's supposed to kind of like replace Cortana, kind of.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just kind of have a buddy that's talking to you the whole time because Cortana.
Because I think like he mentioned he saved Master Chief.
Yeah, apparently the demo is like halfway through the game. What we saw. Yeah. So they already have like an established, relationship at the point that we see them. But this is still a continuation of the fan fiction, as Garrett says. So
is Cortana still like the big bad in this? Like, I have no idea.
Who knows?
Bad, I don't know.
I can't remember a single thing from Halo 5 for the most part. I just remember like out loud laughing at the end of Halo 5. That's all I remember. But I think I read that the Cabal or the banished.
The Cabal.
Sorry. That's when you know it's a problem. The banished defeated humanity or something in some big battle months prior to the events of this demo. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why Chief is floating around in space and the pilot finds him. Yeah. So they're kind of recovering from this battle they lost. Okay. So
that's kind of interesting.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But am I optimistic? Yes, I'm always going to remain optimistic. But I will say this presentation was super underwhelming.
It was. I don't think it was a good first look for the game, but
no,
there's still plenty of time to impress us.
Yeah, and they got 5 more months roughly to potentially to work on this game. So
that's what I was most surprised about, was we still don't know the price of the Xbox. I thought for sure they were going to tell us.
I think in August we'll know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
we got to know at some point. We got to start pre-orders and stuff. Like it's coming out.
Someone's got to say it first.
Yeah.
So, and I most look forward to what they're going to say about multiplayer, because multiplayer is where my heart's always been for Halo. I do love the not 4 and 5 so much, but especially the first 3, the campaign and the story, I'm like really into. But at the heart, like multiplayer's always meant the most to me from Halo. So, like I said, I'm hoping in addition to just standard multiplayer, what we expect, I hope that if they do a battle royale, fine. But I'm still hoping that they take that scale of players and do just giant big team battle. It'd be way more fun.
Yeah.
So
have they never not done big team battle?
I think it's been in
once it was
Halo
introduced.
Yeah.
Was it from the beginning?
I think so. I remember. I think you can do big team in original Halo. Maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
I think big team in original Halo was like. I guess it's always been 8-on-8 for the most part. I know Halo 5 had like the Warzone mode or whatever, where it was like 30-on-30 or something. But man, even up it from there. If you're gonna do like at least 100, like 50-on-50 battles, would be awesome.
That'd be pretty cool.
We'll see if 343 can handle that.
Yeah.
If this demo is any indication.
That's the thing about 343s. I know they're using a brand new engine, but like presentation wise, man, they've knocked it out of the park with 4 and 5. Those games are stunning. Especially their cutscenes are gorgeous. But Yeah, I mean, they're having to make sacrifices for many reasons with Halo Infinite. And I've heard that it's also like, Preston, you sent me an article about it's designed to be sort of like a live service type game where it has updates that come to this world you're exploring, like new battles and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that perfectly describes the reason it's called Halo Infinite, which I didn't fully understand before. So... And they said this is meant to be not only, it's so weird. It's like not only is it a continuation of Halo 5, but it's a spiritual reboot and meant to be a launching pad for the next decade of Halo for like newcomers and everything.
Yeah.
That's a lot to take on for a single title. A lot of responsibility for it to achieve, but
they've been working on it for a while though. So
yeah, a long time.
You'd hope they're well.
That's what I think. That's why I felt underwhelming because they've been working on it for so long and hyped it up so much, and then you see it and you're like, "That what?" I mean, that's the thing.
And we've like been expecting to see it the last couple of years, and we just hadn't.
I'm all for the ideas of what they're pushing for, but when you see it in action, it's not that exciting after waiting that long. So, and they may put out another demo in a couple of months that blows our minds, and I'm hoping for that. So, but regardless, definitely going to play it, but a little underwhelming. So. Anyway, what other standouts for you? I know obviously the Fable trailer.
I'll go through the standouts to me. State of Decay 3 was announced right after this, and I've played the first State of Decay on 360. Never got to the second one, but I would like to see Undead Labs maybe get like a bigger budget for this game. Because it's always kind of, just been like an indie-ish. I'm pretty sure they were like an indie studio before Microsoft acquired them. I might be speaking out of turn there because I'm not exactly sure. But, and that's not a good reason to not play a game. But like there's other games I'd rather play over State of Decay, but I think the concept is really cool. So I think it would be cool if they kind of got like a bigger budget for this one and be able to like kind of go all out to make it like a almost like a Days Gone type game, like Xbox's take on that. I think it'd be pretty cool.
I thought they had a good trailer. I really liked the part where the deer like roared back at the girl when it saw her.
The next one that stood out to me was Everwild by Rare. Just because their games are interesting, and I think it's really cool that Sea of Thieves is kind of taken off. And I don't know anything about this game, and I don't think anybody knows. I think I read in an interview that they're still trying to like figure out what this game even is. But I'm still interested. It looks pretty. So next thing that stood out to me was The Outer Worlds getting a DLC. I've read up on that a decent amount. I think it's only like a 6 to 8 hour deal that's kind of stuck in the middle of the story. But I really like The Outer Worlds, and I think it's kind of like in New Vegas, how all of Obsidian's DLC for that game was supposed to be kind of played as you play the game. But like I said, it's kind of the same. So if you're
like a Frozen Wilds, maybe
kind of
from Horizon.
If you were thinking about like picking this up for the first time, once this DLC comes out, it'll just be like almost like an extra 8 hours incorporated into the game. It's like a big side quest. I think there's like a new area, but the main quest line requires you to go back and forth. But then I think the most exciting Obsidian thing is the announcement of Avowed.
I was pumped about that.
Yeah, just to see Obsidian kind of make their own first person
Elder Scrolls
kinda. Basically.
And I believe this game is set in the same universe as their Pillars of Eternity RPG series. Cool. So there's already like an established lore of a franchise that I think they've made 2 Pillars of Eternity games that people really like. So that's really, really cool. That was probably one of the most exciting things I've seen. We knew that Obsidian had to be making something like that after the Microsoft acquisition, just like a massive, exclusive, Obsidian RPG. So it's cool to actually see what that is.
I agree.
Definitely.
The new Psychonaut trailer looked cool. I think I might give that a try. Stalker 2 was revealed, which I think we already knew that was coming out. But I know that Stalker's like a really famous PC only FPS that I think is like supported by mods, and it gives a Metro vibe. for sure. But I'm excited to play a new version of that game. I think it takes place in Chernobyl, like post-apocalyptic over there in Russia. So I don't know. Looks cool to me. The Medium, very excited for that. Always up for a new horror game, but I think it's really cool that there are like two realities that are simultaneously like laid out, so you'll be like switching back and forth between them, almost like Silent Hill.
Is that what's happening? Like, is it like, are they both on the screen at the same time, or do you like press a button and you switch between the two?
I don't know.
Yeah,
both sound.
I felt like it was unclear in the demo.
Yeah, it might be like a button switching back and forth between. I really love that in games. I think Titanfall's level did that really awesomely. If that's a word. And the level in like Dishonored, where you're going back in time, that was really cool. So to kind of have like an entire game built around that and it be horror sounds really cool. I mean, I believe the guy that did the soundtrack for Silent Hill is also doing it for this game, but I know Blooper Team is making it, which they made the Layers of Fear game and the Blair Witch game that recently came out.
Oh, okay.
So there's that. The Crossfire X campaign. The only reason I'm even remotely interested in that is it's being developed by Remedy Studios, which really like them, loved Control, Alan Wake. So just to see kind of their take on like a military FPS campaign just sounds really cool to me. So definitely want to check that out. And then, of course, Fable, like you said, Garrett. We of course knew they were making this. We saw Playgrounds making it, which I think they're known for making the Forza Horizon games. Yep. So that's kind of the biggest thing that I am. I'm very excited for this game, but I'll be interested to see just. I don't know what it looks like coming from a studio that typically makes open world racing games.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think I read something where they have a second studio at Playground now, and they're working on Fable, and I think they still have their main team working on a Horizon game. Forza Horizon game. So
yeah, it already seems to have that sense of charm and humor to it, just from the trailer.
I saw in a. I think I was watching Kind of Funny as an Xbox podcast. I was just trying to find stuff to listen to, so I listened to it. Of course, I would never go out of my way to listen to an Xbox podcast. Why would I waste my time doing that? But I think she talked to Aaron Greenberg about this, and he said that they're very adamant about keeping the British style like comedy, but they want to allow Playground to do their own thing as well. So. That, of course, makes me very interested to see what this is, because I don't really know what from Fable do you want to like stay besides the humor, because it's not like the combat was ever good.
I want to see the new Bugatti from Horizon.
You want to see what?
I want to see the new Bugatti as a DLC. Give me that Bugatti. Give me a Mustang. Give me something besides a horse.
They'll probably have Easter eggs from like Forza or something in the game. If they had great combat, I would love. I like the being able to get married and have a family and stuff in the game is pretty cool. I like the good and evil slider, is like, even though we've been there, done that in many games, even beyond Fable. I do like that aspect a lot. I like how your character physically reflects the actions you've made.
Yeah.
Or the choices you've made. That's very cool. So those things, I hope all the things people have loved, especially in the first and second game, I hope those remain, certainly. I like the RPG elements, definitely, but better combat for sure.
I would love for, and this is where I kind of have to hold back these expectations, is I would love for Molyneux's, like, all his out there pitches to finally be realized.
Yeah, all of his ideas that like weren't possible
exactly
at the time, actually come to life.
We have the technology now, like let's do it. But can we expect Playground, their first outing like this, to be able to accomplish that?
I mean, hey, look at Guerrilla Games and what they did.
The thing about Molyneux is that he's such an idea guy, but like a fraction of his ideas were ever truly realized. But that's what I loved, is that regardless of whether he was telling the truth or not, it was just always engaging to hear Peter Molyneux be like, in Fable 2, You can literally levitate on top of a castle and hold hands with your wife. It's beautiful. And you feel close. It's like the way he would describe things. You like get so stoked about it and you never see it. Something about him describing it was so exciting.
Did he say in the first Fable game, like an acorn can fall, and if you leave it there, like a tree,
it'll become a tree.
A tree will sprout at some point. Like,
yeah. Stuff like that. I mean, I followed a meme account of Peter Molyneux for years on Twitter, and he's constantly like once a week will like pitch the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard for a game. It's hilarious. And it has that picture of Peter Molyneux doing his gesture. Like I can just hear Molyneux saying all of them.
Yeah. I mean, I love Fable 2. Never played 3, but I loved at the end of that game, I had a castle, I had a family with kids, and just kind of running around like you were the king of like this town, just super overpowered. Like I would like to kind of have...
You have a halo above your head.
Exactly.
Like that pure.
Yeah. I'd be cool with something like that, just next gen for now. So
yeah, I loved how every time you die in the game, it gives you a new scar as well that remains there permanently.
Yeah, that is cool.
And I remember I intentionally in my Evil playthrough died as many times as I possibly could. My guy was horrifically scarred. He had demon horns that were like gigantic. It was awesome. So little things like that, I think, really make Fable special.
I had the most epic like love story in Fable ever, where it's like I found a woman in the beginning or whenever you could start, and I ended up marrying her, and there was this farmhouse through this like portal.
Yeah, talking about that last episode.
Yeah,
same thing.
That I put her in. And you told me there's a point in Fable 2 where you actually go off to jail for like a very long length of time, and if you don't have a certain level of a relationship or like talk to her before you leave, when you come back she actually can like leave you. And that happened to you, Garrett, and you told me that. So I was so upset because I just assumed she was gonna leave while I was gone. But dude, I came back and she was still there, and I was so pumped. And you know, we had kids and everything, and you know, with my achievements, there was one where you had to have 2 wives.
I remember this story.
But I didn't want to mess up our relationship, dude. So I had this secret love affair with this woman purely for the achievement. Like I wasn't doing it, you know, for any other reason. So I literally married this woman, and I think you had to move her into a house. So I picked like the most remote house in the big like town that your castle was in, and I literally moved her in there and then blew her head off immediately.
Right after
I got the achievement, and I ran back to my wife, and I think somehow she knew about it, but she was only like irritated, and then everything was fine after that point.
Nice.
But that's like that's my best memory with Fable.
Yeah, it's the things like that I hope make a return. Many ways it can improve too, especially all the open world action RPGs we've gotten since even Fable 3. Many ways it can improve, but like many core aspects I hope return.
I just hope it's more of an RPG, because even like Fable 2, it's like it was a very, very bare bones RPG. Like hardly like any depth to it whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope
it's that charm that kept me coming back too, though.
Yeah,
it's just something about it, and the art style and everything.
Hopefully, co-op's better too, because co-op sucked.
I don't remember co-op in that game.
Yeah, it just gave you a random character. Like you couldn't actually bring in your character.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and it was just not good. So,
man, I remember so much of that. Good time. Your dog too. I forgot about the dog.
Oh yeah.
So.
But yeah, that was everything at the showcase. So,
how'd you feel about it overall from both of you?
I was disappointed. Like there were very few things that I got excited about, honestly.
Yeah.
Like really for me, it was Halo, Fable, and Avowed.
Yeah, same.
Everything else I really didn't they didn't appeal to me that much.
Yeah.
I know, Preston, you're excited for quite a few of them, but for me, I don't know.
I mean, I'm mainly more excited that I can just, every game we saw, it's like I can just play it with Game Pass.
Yeah.
That's the most exciting thing to me.
Yeah, Game Pass definitely is like a big standout. Like that's such a good deal for anyone that plays games.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You have no reason.
Can you
not
imagine
to take
having
advantage of
Game
it.
Pass when we were in high school?
Oh my gosh.
Like not just like have just $15 a month and you just get all the new Xbox stuff. Like
Yeah,
that would
and for parents especially. That is
yeah.
such a deal.
It's like paying a WoW sub every month.
Yeah,
That's all you need.
Dude, if I had a kid who played games and I just like buy him an Xbox and just like pay like a Netflix fee for him to just shut up and like quit begging me for games, like that would be incredible. So yeah, super awesome. Dude, if they ever get like Call of Duty on the Game Pass, like it's over. Like my high school head would have freaking exploded if that was the case. But speaking of Call of Duty, is that on the notes that the official title was leaked from a Doritos bag?
What is it?
It's Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War is the official name.
That's a
Kind
mouthful.
of a mouthful, yeah.
But it was. I love that it was leaked as a promotional tag on a Doritos bag.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's the best way ever to be revealed.
I'm really surprised.
I'm amazed we haven't seen it revealed yet.
This is very late in the year.
Cold War, interesting.
Yeah.
Call of Duty.
I mean, that's
Black
like the
Ops
one era
Cold
we haven't
War.
explored, but it's not that far off from, like, say, the Vietnam era with
We
Black Ops
kind
1.
of did it in the first Black Ops, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least it's not future warfare because we've had enough of that for a while.
yeah.
So I mean, Modern Warfare was obviously felt fresh because it had been a while, but even going a little further back would be kind of cool.
I liked Modern Warfare, like the new one.
Oh, me too. I still played. I played Warzone this past week with Zach again. It was a ton of fun.
Mm-hmm. Just even like the multiplayer in the campaign. Like I think like boots on the ground, just modern combat just feels really good. And I
We
think
played a
that's
lot of
what we need to stick.
hardcore team deathmatch too, which is fun.
Yeah.
So that's been good.
And I wonder, like, because I think they're going to sort of build on the Battle Royale Warzone. So I wonder, like, what kind of updates they're going to bring with the new game. Because I assume it's going to be a standalone just thing that people just play Warzone.
Yeah.
And I wonder, like, are they going to have like a big Black Ops update?
I'd be bummed if
are they
they're
going to
not
add a
using
new
the
map?
same
Maybe
updated engine as Infinity War did for Modern Warfare. 'Cause I'm
not.
like, that sucks, man. Because Modern Warfare is just so much like night and day more satisfying and interesting to play than all the previous Call of Duties.
Mhm.
It just felt like a true update to the franchise. Finally,
Yeah, I don't know.
I would hope that Cold War doesn't feel like a step back.
I don't know how truthful the rumors that I've been reading are about this game, but I've read a lot of kind of people speculating that this game's not in a good place.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in terms of like development. And
That would make sense as to why it hasn't been revealed.
yeah, so I hope that's just a bunch of BS, but
Well, they had
don't
less
know.
time to put it together. They had one less year, right? Because they took off, what was that studio?
Sledgehammer.
Sledgehammer,
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. Man, that'd be
but you would also
too-
assume that they have more manpower working
Yeah, but
on this one.
that'd be two Treyarch Call of Duties back to back that have like had production errors, because that's like the entire reason that the campaign was taken out of Black Ops 4 was they
Yeah.
just didn't
Mhm.
have enough time to do a good one. So
But we got Blackout, so it's okay.
Yep.
Blackout in comparison to Warzone is like so bland now. I mean, I think Blackout as a standard battle royale experience functions in all the ways it needs to, but I think Warzone has just better ideas overall. Like the way you can respawn teammates and the gulag aspect is just so much more fun.
I did enjoy Blackout though, and I really liked how like you had reasons like they had unlocks on the map where you could like unlock a bit like skins for characters, I think, by like looting chests in certain parts of the map. I think that kind of idea is really cool. I don't think they've done that for Warzone.
I mean, I think the
Like reasons
contract
to
idea
go
for
places.
Warzone is more interesting because there's so many different, there's a variety of the contracts. Either it's a marked target you have to hunt down, or a certain area you have to go capture, or like survive a certain amount of time. I think those are far more interesting than just go like loot a box somewhere, you know?
That's probably.
I don't think people talk about the gulag enough. I think that is such a freaking awesome thing to have in a battle
It is.
royale. It is
It's
so
incredible.
cool.
Yeah, every time, like, you know, you have a second. That's like, I'm never mad when I get killed in Warzone. So I'm like, especially when you're playing with a teammate, even if you lose in the gulag, like Zach and I almost always respawn each other. So it's a ton of fun.
Yeah. It's like all you have to do is completely change your play style and just be like really sneaky and just go find a bunch of money and then get your teammate back.
Yeah.
Dude,
It's that easy.
Nick Robinson actually has a really good video dedicated entirely to the gulag, just kind of like
Oh, really?
talking about it and stuff. It's really, really good.
Cool. Yeah, gunfight is still my favorite mode in Modern Warfare by far.
Yeah.
I love that so much. It's just immediate, fast-paced action. You have to be tactical. You have to communicate with your teammate, and it's just highly competitive. I love it so much. That's like if I had two hopes for Cold Wars, like include some variant of gunfight in your game. I think it's an amazing mode, regardless of the engine. And I would hope their battle royale is, at the very least, borrows many ideas from Warzone. So we'll see. Hopefully sooner than later. I mean, they gotta like we were talking about with the prices of these new consoles. We got to know about the new Call of Duty as soon as possible. We kind of touched on this earlier, but Ghost of Tsushima is presently the fastest selling PlayStation 4 title.
That's crazy to me.
At 2.4 million in 3 days, which is wild.
Like, I was actually genuinely surprised about that.
Yeah.
Like that it sold faster than God of War and Spider-Man. Like, does that mean like just there's more PS4s out in the world now? And just more people are excited for Sony games? I don't know.
It's probably a few things, like we said. Like the games industry really is thriving, and during the face of this pandemic,
that's a good point too.
That's a part of it, which is also amazing though, because many people are unemployed, myself included. I mean, I have freelance gigs, but like as far as working as frequently as I was before, I'm not. Yeah. So people investing into these games as quickly as they are is kind of a surprise considering the times we're in. But on top of that, you would think that Spider-Man would be the fastest selling easily. Yeah. But to think that Ghost of Tsushima is the fastest selling is just kind of surprising. And that I don't say that to undermine the game, because it's an awesome game, but it is kind of surprising.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, not too much to say.
But good for Sucker Punch, though. It's awesome in PlayStation.
To Sucker Punch.
So Sony and their first-party studios continue to kill it. I mean, they're total rock stars.
It'd be interesting to see like if this game outsells like The Last of Us, which I don't think it will.
No.
Yeah, because one of our stories is that I took an image and it has the top 5 selling PS4 games in the U.S. I think it's a couple stories from now, but it'll be interesting to see if it gets on that top 5 list as time goes on.
Yeah, top 5 right now. This is most sold.
Yeah, in the U.S. It's just in the U.S.
So yeah, it's in the U.S. It's Spider-Man, then God of War, then Horizon, then Last of Us, and then Final Fantasy.
Yeah, and I thought it was really cool that 2 of those games came out this year, and they're already 2 of the best-selling games on the platform. And they just came out, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, good for them, man. That's awesome. Speaking of sales and prices of games, I guess Ubisoft's next-gen games are to remain at $60 from now. I mean, that's no surprise to me. I mean, we're just stepping into the next generation. I think it's inevitable, as we've discussed, that game prices will increase, especially by the end of the generation. But I think stepping into the next gen, considering Assassin's Creed will be playable on, if I'm not mistaken, PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, Xbox One and Series X, and PC, of course. That makes total sense. It needs to remain that price. But and I think
I wouldn't be surprised if next Assassin's Creed is potentially $70.
Maybe, yeah. I think he mentions 3 games, which people are thinking it's Watch Dogs, Legion, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and then maybe what was that other game? Was it Gods and Monsters? That Zelda looking like game?
Yes.
Same. Yeah. So people are speculating that that's the 3rd game, because I think in the article that I was reading and that I took that we're using for our story, he was saying 3 games.
I can assure you it's not Beyond Good and Evil 2.
No.
Is that game ever coming out?
Dude,
is it just like a tech demo?
Who knows?
Yeah. I wonder if it's canceled.
That game is just a freaking mystery.
Yeah,
I don't think we really touched on it, but they didn't say anything about it in their Ubisoft forward.
I mean, there's nothing to say about it. Like, it's just the premise of that game just seems like they bit off way more than they could chew.
Yeah,
I think it's cool, like that aren't they doing like some sort of thing where they ask for like are they asking for feedback, or are they like asking for people to help on the game?
You can join
something?
like the Space Chimps crew or something like that to like get updates or some crap, dude. I don't know what they're doing, dude. The first Beyond Good and Evil is really good, super underrated. Like, just evolve off of that. Like, I have no clue what they're doing.
Yeah.
Or I think at this point, just remake the first one and just like modernize it to at least start off with, kind of see how people react to it, and then go from there.
Yeah,
that'd be what I'd do that.
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe next year we'll get something. They have another Ubisoft Forward coming up this fall, so I wonder what they'll be talking about.
Rocket League is going free to play. That's kind of a surprise.
Mhm.
This comes from Adam Bankhurst of IGN.
I think they've actually already announced it. Like it's something they said earlier this year. And I think it was when they were acquired by Epic Games back in the spring. I think it was, and they had plans to get rid of loot boxes and switch to like a free to play model. So.
Because I know a lot of people play this game. I've dabbled in it, so I'm going to read through it in case no one's heard about it, because it seems like there's quite a bit of significant.
Yeah, it's just like how they're sort of transitioning into the free to play.
Yeah, it says Psyonix, the developer of Rocket League, announced the news and revealed that the move to free to play will not only include major changes to tournaments and challenge systems, but will also add cross-platform progression for players' item inventory, Rocket Pass progress, and competitive rank, all by linking to an Epic Games account. Additionally, Rocket League will make its debut on the Epic Games Store when it officially goes free to play. This version will be identical to the others and will have cross-play with all platforms. Following the move to free-to-play, Rocket League will no longer be available to download on Steam for new players. Existing players on Steam and every existing platform for that matter will still get full support for future updates and features. Furthermore, any player that has played Rocket League prior to today's announcement will receive the Faded Cosmos boost size item, and all the above will be awarded to players' accounts when Rocket League goes free-to-play. So, cool.
I think the one thing to mention is so they're cutting off new sales on Steam. So that means if you are playing the game on Steam, you're not going to be able to grow your friends list on Steam because no one else will be able to buy the game there. So it's kind of weird to me. If I had the game on Steam, I would be like, that kind of sucks. How do you even, maybe you can add friends in the game?
I think
really
that's
sure.
probably how it works, considering it's cross-platform. It's kind of how, Modern Warfare, for example, your friends list is it shows your PC side for us, but it shows your other friends on Xbox and everything.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just a little messy. I know people probably overblow the whole Epic Games Steam battle that's been going over the last year and a half or so. But in cases like this, it is kind of just messy. Why can't you just support? I know Epic Games owns who makes Rocket League? What's their name?
Psyonix.
I know they bought Psyonix.
Epic bought them?
Yeah.
Okay, I
yeah,
didn't know
it's
that.
owned by Epic Games now. So yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. I don't know if there's a clean way to make an easy transition, because you can't just take the game away from people on Steam and expect them to just download it on another platform. I guess you could ask that of them, but I don't know. That's going to make people mad. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just a weird issue, if it's even an issue at all. Maybe I'm just bringing this up for no reason, but.
Dude, what was I going to say? Cross-platform is something that I know we talked about this, is just very prevalent in the next generation, because it still blows my mind that Modern Warfare functions as well as it does and as quickly as it does cross-platform. It's astounding.
You've had no problems playing with Zach?
None whatsoever. Communicating's a little frustrating. We can't. In-game chat's fine, but we prefer to have a private party, and we have to do that through the Xbox app while we're playing. That isn't that big of a deal, but just playing together in general is remarkably easy, and it functions beautifully. It just fascinates me, and I'm hoping that once Halo 4 comes to Master Chief Collection, they'll finally implement crossplay between PC and Xbox, which is a no-brainer. I don't know. I understand why they're not doing it yet, because the full collection isn't available on Xbox and PC, but I hope they follow through with that, because I'd love to play Halo with Zach on PC versus Xbox, because every time I pick up a controller to play a shooter these days, I'm so bad. So bad. It isn't like I can't get that skill back again, but I'm just awful, and I much prefer to play shooters on PC. But that's a side tangent. But anyway, let's jump into Ask IOG. Ask IOG is the part of the show where we answer your questions submitted through any of our socials at ItsObviousGaming, the Ask IOG section of our Discord channel, or emailed to us at itsobviousgaming@gmail.com. And if you want your questions read live in the show, always include the hashtag AskIOG. And the first one comes from Aaron. He says, "What's up, Miles?" He says, BlinkMine12 here. I've been a weekly listener for over a year and finally thought of a question that needs an answer. Well, Aaron, first of all, thank you so much for tuning in every week for a year. That's awesome. He says, I am notoriously bad at finishing single-player campaigns, and enough is enough. I've decided to take on the ever-so-daunting backlog that includes the likes of God of War, Spider-Man, Horizon Zero Dawn, The Last of Us 2, and more. In your most expert opinions, What is the most efficient way to play through these renowned titles without sacrificing the experience? 1 or 2 or 3 games at a time. Best wishes from Dallas, Texas. Aaron, thanks again for tuning in and writing in for the first time. That's a difficult question to answer, man, because I've tried playing multiple games at a time. I can play a multiplayer game and a single player game simultaneously. I've never in my life been able to play 2 narrative single player experiences simultaneously.
Yeah, it's a lot to bite off.
Yeah, there's no way I could invest my care and attention to, at the very least, 2 games that have entirely different systems and controls. That would just drive me mad. Mm-hmm. So if my suggestion, and it sounds like you want to play them simultaneously, I mean, if that's what you want to do, by all means, but my suggestion would be to just focus on one at a time, because they're not going anywhere. Like, they're always going to be there. I know, like, going through a backlog can take time, but all the games you've mentioned, in our opinions, are all well worth playing and deserve the time and attention to play through them. Mm-hmm. Now, if you play through one for a while and you don't like it, then just drop it and move on. But I would highly suggest playing one at a time.
Yeah, I don't even get the point of playing them simultaneously, because if a game takes 30 hours to beat, like, playing it with you know what I mean? It still takes 30 hours to beat, whether you play other games in between it or not. Like, you might as well just play it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the only thing that you're doing is muddying the waters and not remembering story points because you're trying to, do 4 stories at the same time.
I think it would actually do some of those games a disservice only playing them like 2 hours and then switching back to another game and playing it for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And just determine the order in which to play them, just consider your mood at the time. Like, for example, I think Ghost of Tsushima couldn't have come at a better time, because I just spent 30 hours shooting people, and now I'm getting to fight them with swords.
Yeah.
So that mood was a good transition.
Mm-hmm. And they're all pretty much uniquely different, which is great. So I mean, like Horizon's open world, Ghost of Tsushima's open world, but
God of War has big hub areas.
Yeah.
That's the thing about first party PlayStation titles from this generation. All of them have similar aspects, like RPG elements, whether it's melee or ranged combat. I mean, they all have similar elements, stories that are all fairly strong, but really strong in some of them. But I can understand when people say that PlayStation first-party titles have very similar elements in all of them. Like, that's undeniable. They absolutely do. But they all each have unique aspects that really make them stand apart from one another. So that's why I would say it's worth playing through one at a time, especially.
I mean, yeah, I understand that, but there's you can't tell me that God of War 2018 feels anything like any other first-party Sony title.
Not.
I mean, the camera's behind him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's all third-person action games to an extent. I get that, but yeah, they're all inherently very different.
And even the way that the open world in God of War is like structured is not like any other Sony first-party games. I mean, it's like it's like fake open world, kind of open world, whereas like Tsushima and Horizon are open world. In Horizon, you dodge with the square button, where in Tsushima, you dodge with the circle button. It's completely different.
Yeah, there you go. So
hashtag not fanboy.
This is completely subjective, but where would you recommend that he starts? If you had to pick one game for him to start with, what would you guys start with if you were in the same situation?
I said go based on your mood.
Yeah. For me, it would just be God of War.
I think God of War is just like, if you're in the mood for kind of doing a side quest, it's there. Like, you can have those kind of mild open world things in terms of like finding collectibles and stuff. Or if you want to treat it purely like a traditional God of War game and just beeline through the story, you can do that as well.
True.
So I think that can kind of like satisfy both moods.
Mm-hmm. I think Spider-Man would also be a fun time just to jump into, because it's just like of all those games, Spider-Man is probably the funnest to play. Maybe God of War is a little more fun in my opinion, but Spider-Man is just so much fun just swinging through the city. Like, that alone is just
a fun gameplay. I've not had more fun playing any other game, but like Spider-Man, I've had the most fun with this generation by far.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
I'm so excited
all of those have great elements.
I'm so excited for Miles Morales.
Me too,
dude. To open a brand new console, like a brand new PlayStation, like the next generation, and then pop in a Spider-Man game.
I know,
like,
that's awesome.
How can it get better than that?
Even if it's not as big, like, it's just going to be great to have a whole new.
It's still Spider-Man.
Yep.
Never gonna have a Ratchet and Clank game.
Stoked.
Dude, if I can just, and I think that's a discussion for another time, just like what the launch titles are going to be, which I'm assuming we'll know within the next month or so. But if I can pop in Spider-Man, and then when I'm done with that, pop in like the Demon Souls remake or whatever, like,
Oh yeah.
that's perfect.
Yeah, it is awesome. So exciting. Well, I hope those tips help you, Aaron. Godspeed, my friend. The Amazing Dragon writes in and says, I've been waiting on Ghost of Tsushima ever since I first heard about it, but with the PS5 coming out soon, I'm wondering if I should wait for PS5 or just get it now. I'm also wondering if I misremembered having a PS5 version. What do you think?
I think it'll just be cross-platform. You can just pop in the disc and play it.
Yeah, so whether you buy it now or play it on PlayStation 5, I can understand why you'd want to wait. I don't know what your experience has been like on standard PS4.
Yeah, it's been fine. I've had pretty much zero hiccups. It performs fine. Maybe it's not as impressive looking as what you guys might be playing. But personally, I can look past that pretty easily because it's not really about like the graphics for me. It's more about just the honestly, it's like the color palette in the game is just what's really appealing to me. And it certainly looks fine on the standard PS4.
Does it run well?
Oh yeah,
cool. Yeah, I mean, it sounds
loading's still really quick too.
Yeah, it sounds like even on standard PS4, it's a killer experience. I mean, I'm trying to think of what the only benefit of PS5 would be at this point.
If you don't have time to play it right now.
It might be in like native 4K on PlayStation 5, but I think if anything, it might. I guess there's already a performance mode too. Like you can play at a higher frame rate relatively. Like that fluctuates on the performance mode. But
yeah, even 1080p it looks.
If anything, maybe the performance mode is even stronger on PlayStation 5, and it's like native 4K. That might be the only benefit. But even in its standard form, on what it sounds like on Jacob's end with a standard PlayStation 4, it's still awesome.
Yeah.
So
I think if you have been looking forward to this game and stuff, just go ahead and get it. As opposed to waiting several months. And even like when the PS5 comes out, like you might want to play like the actual PS5 games that are out and not, backwards compata PS4 game or whatever. But if you have like nothing going on right now and you've been waiting for that game, like just go ahead and pick it up.
Yeah, I think it'd be a different story if like the reviews were like cool game, but like it struggles on PlayStation 4 because it's too beautiful. Then I'd say probably wait. But I mean, it functions incredibly on PlayStation 4 and Pro. So I'd say go for it.
Just make sure you turn on that contrast mode.
I don't even know how to read this name.
I couldn't pronounce it either.
Mixy Zip Talk, MXYZPTLK. Writes in and says, how you doing, boss? I started tuning into your podcast a few months ago, and I want to thank you for making my early morning drive to work fun and bearable. You guys are awesome and definitely # not fanboys. Got that right. The question is about playing massive open world games like Ghost of Tsushima, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Horizon Zero Dawn, etc. How do you avoid feeling burnt out from the countless side missions, looting, collecting stuff, etc.? I love playing these games, and I spend several hours exploring until I get to the last parts of the game where I just feel burnt out from all the exploring and collecting. I'm not a completionist, but sometimes I fear that I'm missing out on some of the good stuff if I don't explore much, especially on weapons and armors hidden in some side missions. So I end up going here and there to a point where I always tend to forget what I should really be doing in the main story. Any tips? Do you complete some parts of the main story, then go back and forth for the collectibles and side missions? Thanks in advance and more power to you sexy boys. Alfred from Down Under. No, from Down Under. Thanks for writing in and tuning in. That's a great question because I've had that thought playing through Tsushima. That's why my question is like, I like the open world, but I'm wondering if I would like it all the same if it was more of a linear experience. But yeah, I've certainly had those moments of feeling burnt out, of not being overwhelmed by all there is to do. I think there's a healthy amount of things to do in the game. While yes, many of the side missions feel very repetitive, I have not felt too burnt out just yet, but I think the only way I am feeling burnt out is just the looting, and that's a direct result of I just doing that in Last of Us and then stepping into this and doing it again. So, but Preston shared too, like the fox dens and stuff kind of get old. Same monotonous, I don't know if you call them cutscenes, but like mini animations of like Jen getting into the healing pools or doing the haiku and stuff kind of gets old. So it's hard to get excited about some of those things when you've done them like 20 plus times and you already know what to expect. But yeah,
that's the thing is like it's worth it to do them as well because
especially in this game.
Like it benefits.
It's not like you're not getting anything out of it, but Yeah. I don't know if I have any tips necessarily.
My tip would be to, like I said, it's worth it to do these things, especially to like liberate the camps and stuff, because you have to either observe or kill these leaders to unlock the other stances, which are. I wonder if the game like actually requires you to have these stances, or if you could beat the game with just stone stance. That would be a challenging playthrough for sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
But you know, it's definitely worth it to go liberate these camps. It's worth it to find the hot springs. But how I think that part of my brain, in terms of like open world fatigue, I'm kind of numb to it because I'm so used to boring myself to tears just to get trophies. And it's like, that's worth it to me, is like suffering through like repetitive things just to get a trophy unlock at the end. So I'm kind of more like used to that. But if trophies weren't a thing, and how I'm kind of playing it right now is that I like to dabble in kind of like a main mission when I feel the side stuff is getting a little stale. So just to kind of go back and forth, just so I'm not just doing like 30 Fox dens in a row and I'm just like wanting to smash my head up against a wall, where if I see a Fox den, I'll do it. And if I see like a platforming thing, I'll do that. And there's a side mission over here, I'll do that. Like I'm constantly trying to, be doing different things as I go. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, that's a really good tip.
Yeah.
I do tend to like to leave the main missions towards the end, so I can do the main narrative stuff like back to back to back. So I find that's easier to follow, especially in like this game. The narrative isn't complicated at all, at least thus far, but like that is definitely a big deal in terms of like The Witcher and stuff, where if you do a main quest and then go exploring for like 30 hours, you're like where was Ciri? Like what's happening?
Yep.
Yeah.
This is a way Tsushima is significantly easier to manage than some other open world games for sure. So
yeah. For sure.
Yeah. Something I was going to add on to that. I can't remember what it was. I cannot think straight today.
But also, like, at the same time, like, never be scared to like just not do side activities. Like, if you don't want to do them, just don't do them.
Oh yeah.
Usually in any open world game, it's never required, right? In this game, maybe a little more so, because you get direct upgrades and stuff from doing all the different, the springs, the haikus, whatever, all the stuff. But like in Breath of the Wild, like you could just not do so much in that game and still really get a lot out of it. Just doing, the main story.
The thing about Breath of the Wild is like 90% of the game is side stuff.
Yeah,
which is
true.
Pretty wild.
Yeah, like for me, like when I play open world games, I like having a healthy balance of, I'll do like a main quest now, then I'll go do some little, undiscovered locations, and I'll, go back to town, I'll do some upgrades, I'll never just like do one thing till I get sick of it. I like to have like a healthy balance of things, so I'm never doing the same thing, and I think most people are like that too. But and if you do, like, if you are like getting bored, don't be afraid to like just play less. Like, you don't have to like streamline through a game to like get to the next thing, right? Like, just if things are getting stale to you, just do what you need to do to still find enjoyment out of something.
Yeah, it's cool too in Tsushima when you progress to Act 2 and you unlock the next area of the map. New enemy camps pop up in the original area.
Oh, really?
That are on farmsteads versus like the former ones that you tackled. So it gives you a reason to backtrack and go explore there again.
Yeah.
I was wondering, because I saw there was an initial counter of like liberation, and I'm like, I've already done everything. How is there any more stuff to do? Okay, that makes sense.
So it unlocks more, which is pretty cool.
Cool.
So yeah, I'm really excited.
Does that excite you guys as much as me? Is that like whenever I think about Breath of the Wild, I know that we're within like, I am assuming, a year or two of a sequel to that.
I know.
Like
I'm so pumped.
That pumps me out of my freaking mind.
And then like the idea of it potentially being like a darker, more grim world than the first one was, like just from what we saw from the trailer, I'm assuming like it's going to be,
I cannot wait for that, whatever it is.
I often think about Breath of the Wild. I had so much fun playing through that game. And like I was one of those people that tried to do literally everything on the map before I finished the game. So Like I found all those what are they? The shrines.
The
I
shrines,
did all
yeah.
the shrines. I didn't do all the seeds. That was a little
Yeah, they
little
literally
much
give
for
you a
me.
turd
Seeds
for
weren't
food.
worth, seeds weren't worth it. I mean, the seeds themselves are poop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the whole point. But that's probably the only thing in that game that wasn't worth it.
I'm not much of a poopman, but
Poopman.
you know, yeah.
I goofed big time. I didn't realize that Kyle had written in a Halo question.
Ah, it's okay. Oh, we had ghost questions at the end when we talked about it earlier. It's fine.
Kyle wrote in Bohangales and says, "Well, boys, we finally were able to see some of the gameplay for Halo Infinite, and the recent demo has created some talking points in the Halo community as to the way 343 is taking the franchise. On top of the gameplay, 343 has come out and said that this new Halo will feature open world and RPG elements, such as branching paths and mission design and character upgrades for Chief. Many people were thinking this new Halo might be a return to form after the backlash 343 received on their Halo entries. Now that we're all on the same page, I wanted to ask what you boys think about the innovation versus soul. Should the changes a company makes to a franchise have to adhere to the gameplay principles its predecessors set in play? I'm in the camp that a game can innovate, but it should be an evolution of the game's soul, so it still provides change, but at its core feels like an injury to that franchise. I personally don't think this new Halo feels like a Halo game, but I'm still willing to see what innovation 343 is bringing to the table, if any. What are your boys' thoughts? Should soul or innovation be the main focus in a sequel? Or is there a nice middle ground versus... I can't even read either. Or is there a nice middle ground devs can find? What of the reveals from the event are you most excited for? Fable, anyone? Also, hope you guys and your families are safe and sound. Stay away from dat Rona. Hey, likewise, Kyle. Thanks for writing in. I apologize for reading this at the last minute. I feel like it's always
It's my
Kyle
fault.
I
It's
leave
my
out.
fault. I put it at the end. I didn't put it back in
okay.
Halo. I did the notes.
Soul versus innovation. I think every sequel should definitely innovate, but at its core feel similar. No one wants a complete night and day change, but you definitely want new aspects. And I think just to reiterate with this new Halo, I think at its core it does seem like a traditional. Halo
Yeah, I'm
experience.
confused as to why he doesn't think that it still has the soul of a Halo game.
Yeah,
Is
the
it because it's open world? Maybe.
Yeah, the only difference is that with the branching paths and RPG elements for Chief, those are certainly innovations. The open world aspect is innovation, but there have certainly been very large spaces in Halo before where you jump from combat encounter to combat encounter. So I think at its core, it seems like the combat experience in Halo seems like it's as true to form as ever. It's just based on the one demo we've received.
Yeah, and like you said, we've hardly seen anything. It's a little. I don't want to say it's too early to make any judgments, but because we just made some ourselves. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I still think it's important to keep an open mind about what this game could be.
Yeah, I think the sandbox nature and the one combat demo we've seen looks like Halo to me. The ideas sound like it will be very much like Halo, but I think it's hard to say if it feels like a Halo game until we've actually played most of it in its entirety. But I think just like we said, the one presentation we've seen, I think at its core definitely seems like a Halo experience, just in a much larger scale.
Yeah.
So, but soul versus innovation, I think it's like a healthy mix of the two, personally.
Yeah. Because if you, to a certain extent, the game will never be as soulful as its predecessor because you have to make new innovations to make it compelling to buy a new game, right? So,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense.
Any thoughts from you, Preston?
Not really. I think I would just be repeating pretty much everything y'all said.
Cool.
All right, boys.
Well, gentlemen, that'll do it for 241. It was a good one.
Well, I think we did good.
It's a fun time, and love Tsushima. Can't wait to play it more. And
Same.
In spite of my my underwhelming reaction to Halo Infinite, I am certainly looking forward to getting my hands on that game, nonetheless. So,
Same here.
yeah, dude. Well, gentlemen, it was a pleasure as always.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
all right. It was a good time. Garrett, thank you for having me in person again.
Of course, I love when you can be here.
Yeah.
It's great to see you.
Hopefully
you thinking
we
lunch
can-
again? Or you heading out today?
I got to go have lunch with Elliot today.
Elliot,
Yeah.
interesting.
Mhm.
In the city or somewhere else?
In Norcross.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
He
Well,
has
you
an
guys have a good
apartment over
time.
there.
Sweet. Well, to everyone who's tuning in, as always, we cannot thank you enough for the continued love and support, for writing in questions for the show, and sharing your thoughts, of course, on Discord about everything going on. It's always a pleasure. And if you're listening to the podcast anywhere, just know it's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and YouTube. Many other services, but those are the big four. And we love you guys to bits and hope you have a blessed and wonderful week. And we hope as well that you and your families are remaining safe and healthy during these wild times, but we're thankful that we have video games to play to pass the time. And we wish you all the best, and we'll talk to you again very soon.
Everyone have a good week.
Later.
Bye-bye.